Spring is in the air and we have four of the great teams in Super League lining up for your enjoyment. Tomorrow it's Leeds against Wigan from 7:30 on Sky Sports 3. But right now the weekend lifts off in style as St Helens aim to preserve their 100% start to the season against the Warrington Wolves, who took Leeds' unbeaten run off them just 6 days ago. The first of two blockbuster games is live right here on Sky Sports 3. Yes, four of the top five clubs in the Super League table will parade their skills for you over the next 24 hours, and the incentive for St Helens is A, to maintain that unblemished start to the campaign, and B, to open up a 4-point lead at the top of the pile. Warrington would go above Leeds overnight if they win, until they entertain Wigan tomorrow. Catalan Dragons sandwiched in between, and they have an important date at bottom of the table, Hull, tomorrow night. They've lost all of their last 7 games at the KC Stadium. Oh, it's beginning to warm up, as is the weather, hopefully, at the same time. And this is the way the fixture list shapes up tomorrow. Round 6, remember, Castleford, Salford, Hull and Catalan Dragons, and the big one, Leeds against Wigan. And then on Sunday there are two, Wakefield against Huddersfield and Widnes against Hull Kingston Rovers. Well, the teams have been confirmed in the last hour here, and there is a familiar look about St Helens at fullback, where Paul Wellens makes his 438th Super League appearance. You know, no one has made more. And then it is Makinson on the wing, Turner, Dawson and Swift. Burns is alongside Wilkin, who is the captain. And the forwards for Saints, Walmsley. Lance O'Hire gets a start again after his 2-try performance against Widnes last week. Amor returns after suspension. Ateleve, Joe Greenwood and Luke Thompson make up the forward pack. And on the bench, well, James Roby will have to be a bit patient to start with, as will Mossy Massoy. Roby is alongside him there with Louis McCarthy, Scarsbrook and Greg Richards, and the coach is Kieran Cunningham. Now then, the Warrington Wolves, they're unchanged from last week's win against the Leeds Rhinos. Ratchford at fullback, Penny, Curry, Atkins and Russell. Bridge is alongside Gareth O'Brien. The forwards for Warrington, it's Hill who captains the side, Clark and Sims, Laithwaite, Philbin and Westwood. And the substitutes for Warrington, they've got Mick Hyam, Roy Asatazi, Ben Evans and George King. Exactly the same 17 for coach Tony Smith. And so last Friday night, the Warrington Wolves took off the Leeds Rhinos, their unbeaten record at the start of this season. The big question is here tonight, can they do the same against St Helens? Now, Warrington fans won't need me to remind them that over the years, St Helens have inflicted some pain in their matches between these two. If you remember rightly, it was 24 matches in St Helens before Warrington got the win. But boy, how things have changed around in the recent past. And here tonight, Warrington look to maintain a fabulous record at Lancashire Park. You know, they have never lost here in the Super League, and if they win tonight, it'll be 6 years since the Saints got the better of them on their own midden. So, can they do it? Well, let's get the early thoughts of the two who are waiting for us at the touchscreen. They can have first dibs at this. It's Brian and John, of course.
Yeah, thanks very much, Eddie. I'm sure the Warrington Wolves players are cognizant of the fact they have a good record here against St Helens, but they'll be acutely aware that it's the champions they're playing against. Okay, St Helens side nursing their way through the first 5 rounds, but they nursed their way through all of 2014, ended up at Old Trafford and ended up winning the grand final. Wolves will be aware that this St Helens side can play with whatever personnel that they put out on the field. So far in the first 5 rounds, you've seen similarities, John, in what they're doing around the ruck. Both sets of forwards having a lot of joy. Give us a demonstration of that.
Yeah, well, there's not an awful lot, really. 5 from 5 speaks for itself. There's not an awful lot we can tell you at this stage of the season about this team that we don't already know. Perhaps one of the biggest surprises is going to be that man, James Roby, starting from the bench tonight. I was as surprised as anybody to see that. But when we actually take a look at what they're able to do around the ruck, and I use James Roby as an example, getting out from behind the ruck and getting into some space, he's one of the best in the league, has been for many, many years. And it's that dead area behind the ruck we're talking about. And
a lot expected from Warrington as well in that area, with Chris Hill, with Ashton Sims and with Benny Westwood.
And this is the danger. I think this little patch of turf here that sits in, this dead area that sits in behind the ruck, behind these two markers, this is going to be highly fought over territory tonight. And here's why. Spotted this in the Catalan Dragons game. This was round 1 here at St Helens on their own midden, and they get busted up the middle with a little smart play around the look, little reverse play, and Zeb Taylor goes straight through. And look at the big guys there that struggled when the markers were done And this is Warrington and what they're able to do. So I would not be surprised at all if that was a hotly contested area between the two sides, and maybe consequently...
If we just press pause on that, John, we explain to people that the reason why that area is so attractive, I guess, is the gap between the first defenders either side, and you usually get a retreating player as well.
That's it. If there's any kind of quick play the ball, you're going to get a retreating player. The two markers, if there's any kind of quick play the ball, will invariably find themselves too close to the man playing the ball, which would be, in this case, Philbin there. And then you've got that natural dead area that's the markers usually patrol. They usually prevent anybody getting in and around and back into that space. But that's exactly what Matty Russell does because of what you said. Any kind of quick play the ball at all, any kind of switch off mentally at the ruck, and both sides are capable of exploiting it.
Okay, Russell on that occasion, one of the Warrington Wolves backs going in and exploiting that. Well, we're going to have a look at some of the forwards on show for both sides tonight as we speak to Phil Clark. Phil, you're able to look in detail at the forwards that might be able to exploit that area in behind the ruck and sometimes a little further wide out. Who are they?
Brian, I think it's pretty obvious that at the end of this game, the try scorers will grab the headlines and maybe even the man of the match awards, but it's the men in the middle that will determine the winners of this game and lay the foundations for success. And we've got two of the competition's very best at that. If we take a look, at Alex Walmsley against Chris Hill tonight, these are the two probably form props along with Adam Cuthbertson in the Super League so far. Both started their careers actually in the Championship, in the lower leagues below Super League, but they made an impressive start to 2015. You can see that Chris Hill gets about 5 minutes longer on the field in an average game so far this season. He started all 5 at prop for Warrington so far this season. Both carry the ball effectively, but no props made more ground this year than Alex Walmsley. He looks like a giant on the field, and very few teams have been able to pull him down. You can see the comparable in their defensive efforts, and Alex Walmsley is developing a very nice offload that's making him dangerous with the ball. When they've been involved so far, he's certainly nothing glamorous at times, but he helps to take his team downfield, and he certainly makes sure when he has to make his tackles, he makes an impact, and the opposition know he's there. Well, Chris Hill has established himself as one of England's regular props now in that international setup. And he is now at the peak of his game. As I say, he spent 6 years in the lower leagues at Leeds before anybody really took a chance on him. Warrington have helped him to become one of the best props in this competition. There are the men in the middle and who have been in great form, but the individual battle between those could well determine the balance of power in the middle. Just a little bit wider though are two other great players and forwards for these two sides who've had a marvellous start to this season. St is 28 years of age. You might say he's a late developer, but tonight he's playing against a player who I think is the best tackler in Super League. Pound for pound, when he hits, he certainly hurts. Ben Westwood was man of the match last week against the thing. Now, if we take a look at what these have done, St is a faster, more elusive player, runs a little bit wider, and he's certainly a player that Saints are going to enjoy for the rest of this season. I particularly know he only started 6 games in his NRL career, and yet he started the last 6 games for St Helens. Ben Westwood, when his career began at Warrington as a centre and wing, but now with over 300 games for Warrington, he's firmly established as one of their more important players. You can see that St has played every minute of every game so far this season for St Helens, and very few forwards do that. Both though are obviously having a similar impact on the field, and it's the defence that these two players are particularly renowned for. St defence not quite as good as Ben Westwood, but hey, neither are many other players in Super League. I'm right close now to the Warrington forwards here, and they know, I think, their backs are pretty good. Stephen Ratchford, Matty Russell, you can talk about those, but in the middle, they have to be the dominant team if they want to go away here with the winners 2 points.
All right, thank you very much, Phil Clark. They're the big guys in the middle. Let's talk about the ball players in both of these sides. And get away from talking about it just a 7 and a 6, because it's very much 1, 6, 7 and 9 that we need to look at. St Helens, of course, no Johnny Lomax for them, no Luke Walsh expected back soon. But they've managed to overcome that last year and this year. We'll see Travis Burns and John Wilkin in the halves. We'll see Paul Wellens at fullback, and we'll see Roby come off the bench.
Now, how significant is that then? That they're sitting 5 from 5 and they haven't found a settled spine of that team yet?
Well, that's the warning for the Warrington Wolves side going into this game, that St Helens can win with whatever personnel that they have in those. Warrington, they've got an issue in the halves. I don't believe they're settled in the halves yet. But in all those other positions, I think they're getting closer. And that's assisting a man that we've both passed comment on plenty of times, Gareth O'Brien, and how well he's settling in to the 7 position. It's not all about Gareth O'Brien and who partners him at 6, John. I'm going to put it to you that it's Stephen Ratchford out the back, Mickey Hyman, Darrell Clark playing at 9, that will turn this man into a great player in Super League.
And you mentioned those players, and you mentioned the the weight of expectation that Darrell Clark, for example, came to Warrington under as current man of steel and under that fantastic season at few seasons at Castleford. There are some dominant voices in that Warrington team, some experienced campaigners who no doubt hold court. Gareth O'Brien is in a key position in the field, and at 23 years of age, he makes his 50th appearance for the Warrington Wolves this evening. He's also been bounced around a few of the clubs on loan in the early part of his career. I think he's finally starting to find his voice, and I think
St Helens, one of those clubs.
Yeah, now he gets
2013, St Helens, Castleford, Swinton, and Warrington.
He gets the chance to show perhaps why it would have been a mistake for St Helens to let him go. I'm sure Warrington would have wanted to call him back either way. These are some highlights from last week. First was a forced dropout. Second, which I like even better, conversation at the ruck, going from a support run the previous play, and the ability to just drop on the toe. You can coach that, but it's very difficult. That's naturally in you. This is against St George Illawarra in the World Club Series. First kick out to Nabuli. Great chase off the back of it, but I think his kicking game in particular is one area under the tutelage, no doubt, of Lee Breers, which has improved out of sight. This one I love. Great kick under pressure, splits the wing and fullback, puts it in the corner. That's textbook stuff. And look at the chase off the back of it. That's St George Illawarra. They're keeping well away from their own try line. So
a short kicking game against Leeds, that was a sight to behold. It caused all sorts of problems for them at the back. And passing, this is another example, John. He's able to run the ball and willing to run the ball. And
this is a sign of his growing confidence. This, I still think, is a Achilles heel, but he is a man who Warrington can build a team around. He's 23 years of age, he's got plenty of experience under his belt, and he's just now getting to the point where he's able to express himself and show the confidence that's in there.
But not there yet. You've got a couple of examples, John, of perhaps areas that he could do better, he could work harder at.
And this is where we come back again to those dominant voices that are around him. I think there are times, and there were a couple of examples last week, and perhaps we were a little too critical, I was a little too critical at half-time, that he's deferring to the more experienced, those players of stature within this game, because this game,
as this unfolds, he's thinking one thing and one thing only, and that's the ball to Stefan Ratchford.
He knows that Stefan Ratchford is a good ball player. He knows from the example against Hull KR they played the week before, he found Matty Russell with a great ball. I think in his head he's thinking, I'm going to throw this ball on, when really, if Lee Breers was there, that was the ball he would have hit. Now, these are very difficult decisions to make on the fly, but I think with that added confidence that he's getting, you might start to see this. Here's the other thing, decision making. Last tackle, 18-6 up, last tackle. Why on earth do you pass on to a back rower when you've got the option just to slide it into the corner? Here's another one, last tackle, 12 minutes to go, 2 scores up, opts to pass. Now between him and Chris Bridge, they're putting themselves under pressure, and it's those little things now that are the difference between O'Brien being a promising, good quality player and a great player who could take Warrington on for years to come. And that's the little bits now, that the 1% that they've got to tighten up on. I think he's got great potential.
Oh, absolutely. And there's some areas that St Helens will no doubt try and exploit. I would imagine Gareth O'Brien, Eddie, so we pass back to you, will have an awful lot of heavy traffic coming his way tonight.
I'd imagine so. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, John. We are now going to find out what's happening downstairs, because, coming into this match tonight and into the stadium, it's only round 6. But it does have the feeling to me of almost of a playoff intensity surrounding this game. Always is, I suppose, when Saints and Warrington tangle. That's the way I perceive it anyway. I wonder if that has permeated its way down towards the dressing room area. Waiting for us pitch side, it's Bill Arthur.
Thanks, Eddie. Yes, there's always a great atmosphere before a Saints-Warrington game or a Warrington-Saints game when these two sides meet, whatever stage of the season. But you're right, not just tonight, of course, because you've got Leeds-Wigan tomorrow night. So the first 2 nights of the weekend, in terms of what's on Sky Sports, have that feeling of playoff intensity. I'm sure this one will, and that's despite the fact that both these sides are missing key personnel, with Mark Percival and Johnny Lomax, 2 of the Saints missing. Luke Walsh as well, but chatting to Luke, who would dearly love to be involved in this one tonight. He could be back in action after 8 months out in the next few weeks, and that'd be a real boost for St Helens. And of course, Warrington Wolves, no Joel Monaghan and Richie Myler for them, but the 2 sides that will go out tonight will be well and truly fired up. An interesting real contrast between the 2 coaches as well. Tony Smith, the Warrington Wolves coach, looking for his 300th win as a club coach here tonight. 5 of the 299 so far have been on this ground. Looking very calm, sitting in the stand, chatting to supporters, signing autographs. just feeling very relaxed. Meanwhile, his opposite number, Kieran Cunningham, the rookie of the ranks at the moment, looking for his 6th win of the season, tucked away in the dressing room, keeping himself to himself, being very calm. I don't think the calm will last. It's going to be a big night. Expect a big performance from Ben Westwood. Phil Clark was picking him out. Steve-O's man of the match last week for a towering performance. He also got the club man of the match, but you know, he set out to get that last week. He said to everybody before the game, I am going to win the man of the match award against the Leeds Rhinos, and he did. It might have had something to do with the fact that for the first time this season, new sponsors were awarding the man of the match a pair of high-end noise-cancelling headphones, which Benny Westwood was determined to win, and he did that, and he turned up tonight wearing his high-end noise-cancelling headphones very proudly, but he says he doesn't need a pair of headphones to give him the incentive for a big performance tonight. Just a game against Saints will do.
Absolutely, that is incentive enough. I'm going to have to speak up now because Steve-O might be wearing his headphones. Oh no, he's all right, everything's all right. Steve-O, one thing we can say about this game tonight, after what happened to Leeds at Warrington last week, St Helens' unbeaten start to the season will be tested to the limit.
Yeah, I think it's the acid test for both of them, actually, when you think about it. You know, St Helens, they've scraped home a couple of times. They haven't played for the full 80 minutes like we saw all the way through last season. They were just the silent people coming through, and they came through, won the grand final, and I reckon it's a big test as far as Lance O'Hire is concerned. I know he scored 2 tries last week, and it'll be very, very interesting, but I'm surprised that Kieran Cunningham has allowed James Roby to be sat on the bench, not start. I know that he played very well, Lance O'Hire. There's no hookers these days because there's no real difference in regards to winning the ball in the scrum. But Lance O'Hire is not the best defender. And Tony Smith, the Warrington coach, is fully aware of that. Now, there is James Roby.
Do you think he's injured?
Well, there must be, as far as I'm concerned. He must be carrying some sort of injury. Maybe he's taking a gamble, is Kieran Cunningham. But the thing that I'm trying to make is that James Roby has been averaging over 35 tackles in a game. You won't get that from Lance O'Hire. Now, he's going to be up against Darryl Clark. Now, Darryl Clark has taken quite a long time to settle into the Warrington style. You know, when we saw him for many years at Castleford, he was just given an open plan. Do what you want, run from dummy half. He seems to me as though he's playing more constructive, and Tony Smith is obviously not trying to burn him out early in the season. And quite frankly, I thought that when Mickey Hyam came on against Leeds, that Warrington looked a far better balanced side. So it'll be interesting to see when Tony Smith brings Mickey Hyam into the fray. But during that period, I'm sure that Darryl Clark will get 30 minutes at least. And you just watch Clark, he will pinpoint Lance O'Hire. Now, when Lance O'Hire plays in the 3/4 or the halfbacks, they put him out into the centres, out well away from the heavy traffic. He's going to have to put himself right in the middle. Can he do what James Roby does on a regular basis? Can he do 35 tackles? I'm not so sure tonight.
Well, if they're running at him, he'll have to.
Yeah.
Won't they?
But no, I'm talking about making tackles.
Yeah, I know. But if Warrington target him, he's going to have to make 35 tackles.
Well, he might miss 5 or 10 of them. He might only make 25. That is the difference. Look, in this Super League, it is so tight in defence. We saw last week, Warrington against Leeds were absolutely superb. And you've got to understand that we are slowly but surely becoming a very, very defensive competition. So that means you've got to make sure that you do not miss any tackles. If Lance O'Hire misses 5, you'd have to say that Warrington will win.
This is a mouth-watering clash tonight here at Langtree Park. It's Saints against Warrington tomorrow. We have another for you, Leeds against Wigan. Both of them here on Sky Sports 3. This one tonight, tomorrow at 7:30. But you know, the Saints club, they built a statue. They cast him in bronze. Kieran Cunningham. He's stood outside the reception, right on the roof of the reception, that statue to Kieran Cunningham for all of his wonderful deeds as a player. They commemorated those wonderful exploits that he had on the field of play. Now he's the man in charge. He's the head coach, and he's desperate to be a success off the field as well.
I want to do well. No, I've been a baby. I've been stood on the terraces watching Jerry McCracken running around and all these superstars who played for the club, you know, which I see is the greatest club in the world, and to be in charge, and you know, you don't want to let them people down. There's a long way to go. And You know, we've fought hard for our last 2 games in the back ends of the game, and we've got our just deserved. All they ask for my squad to do is be resilient and have really high standards. I want them to be a tough team to play against and really difficult and give teams headaches, you know. Well, we've got a back rower who's playing 7, who filled in last year, and everybody criticised him and says he was never going to be a 7, and we worked hard with him in the pre-season, and he's actually forging a good combination now with Travis Burns is John Wilkins, so he's doing really well. And you know, you lose young Mark Percival, who's been playing sensational. You know, you lose Johnny Lomax, who's, I actually thought he was going to play for his country this year, Johnny, with some of the form he was finding, and you know, it makes things hard. So you know, you like to think at some point Johnny and Percy will come back into the team, and then you like, in the not too distant future, then you get your genuine 7 back and you can move John somewhere else, then we won't be in too bad a shape. You know, we should be even harder to beat. If you look what James Roby does in a game consistently for 80 minutes, week in, week out, there's not many other 9s in the competition who could come close to him. I used to think I was a pretty good 9, and I couldn't do anything what Robes does, anywhere near what Robes does. Just a typical Saints Warrington derby. They're going to come with a game plan probably to take us down the middle of the park, and we'll probably go with the same game plan to take them down the middle of the park, and we'll see which pack of forwards probably want it more on the night. He's brought in a little bit of steel, as Tony, this year, and he's moved Benny Westwood into the middle, and he's got 2 young back rowers who are doing a really good job for him, so they're definitely going to be a force. Saints Warrington's always a good clash, and it's always a good tussle, and you know, I think it's definitely going to be interesting. It's as a neutral, if I was a neutral, I'd definitely be excited about this one.
The dream lives on for Kieran Cunningham. St Helens now the only team with a 100% record. Top of the table, but the season's biggest test awaits. After 24 straight home wins against Warrington, they've lost each of the last 5 as history has been turned on its head. So another big performance is needed from the likes of Atelier Bay. What a story this is. Rock bottom 12 months ago with London, now riding high at Saints. And it looks like Lance O'Hire's hit top form at just the right time too. Last week it witnessed 2 tries for the first time in his Super League career. Tony Smith has just celebrated 6 years in charge at Warrington. The man who won Leeds' first league title in 35 years is aiming to end the Wolves' 60-year wait for the crown. Ben Westwood was joint captain of the club last year, relieved of the burden in 2015. He proved against Leeds last week that he's now back to his best. And when Chris Bridge plays at standoff, Warrington invariably do well. He was there in a 7-match winning sequence last year. Yes, and Warrington haven't lost an away game against St Helens in the last 5 years. And if they win again tonight, it'll mean that in the space of 6 days, they've taken away the 2 unbeaten starts to this Super League season, having won against the Leeds Rhinos last week. It's a game made for the playoffs, but it's only round 6. It's the Saints against the Wolves. We are coming to you live from Langtree Park. Let's check the way the two sides line up before we get to the kick-off. Wellens is back at full-back for St Helens. Then it's Makinson, Turner, Dawson and Swift. Burns is alongside Wilkin. The forward pack for St Helens: Walmsley, O'Hire and Amor. O'Hire getting the vote ahead of James Roby to start the match. Vey, Greenwood and Thompson complete the forward pack. And on the bench for the Saints: Big, Mossy, Massoy, James Roby, McCarthy, Scarsbrook and Greg Richards. The coach is Kieran Cunningham. Now the Warrington Wolves, it's Ratchford at full-back. Then they go Penny, Curry, Atkins, Russell, Bridge and O'Brien. They're unchanged, 1-17 from last week against Leeds. Up front for the Warrington Wolves, it's Hill who's the skipper tonight, Clark and Sims, Laithwaite, Philbin and Westwood. And waiting their chances off the bench, Hyam, Ashotazi, Ben Evans and George King for the coach, Tony Smith. So the Saints' winning start was threatened at Widnes last Friday. They were 6-14 down at half-time. But then the Atelier try and 3 more in 8 minutes saw them preserve their proud unbeaten record. And the crowd turning up here tonight, knowing that this is probably their biggest test against the men from just down the road, the Warrington Wolves, who ended Leeds' 100% start to the season last week with their 18 points to 6 win. Can they take away Saints' 100% winning record here? Led out by Chris Hill, Warrington on the left. They're taking aim on a 6th consecutive away win against St Helens. How the history books have been turned upside down. They lost every one of their first 24 visits to Knowsley Road. Then they broke the duck in 2011 at Widnes, and they have won all 4 here at Langtree Park since. 4 weeks on from the World Series, in which of course both of these two sides played, Saints have managed to maintain their winning start. Warrington and Wigan have both felt the effects of tangling with the clubs in the NRL, and Tony Smith, 6 years in charge, in search tonight of his 300th victory in the Super League. Will it come?
Well, it's certainly got the opportunity, Eddie, and I must say that the atmosphere at this ground is electric. The bookies are making it a favourite, would you believe, for Warrington not only to win tonight, but actually to go right the way through the season. And after so many years, 60 years I do believe, can Warrington become the champions of Super League? With this fella, Ben Westwood, anything is possible. But St Helens really have not been playing for the full 80 minutes in the start of Super League. They've been scraping their way through, and it's going to be a real big task. And let's hope that this fella, Daniel Clark, really shows his full potential that we've seen over the years. It should be a cracker.
Well, it should be. The Saints have sneaked past Castleford, Wakefield and Widnes. Can they produce the big performance in this top draw game? Travis Burns gets us underway. First touch for Kevin Penny of Warrington. Here comes Ashton Sims. Walmsley meets him shoulder to shoulder, and down he goes 10 metres away from his own line.
That'll be significant tonight, the battle up front. Phil Clark made it quite clear. The likes of Walmsley and Amor for St Helens, they're massive. But Warrington, they're no slouches with Chris Hill and Ashton Sims. It really is going to be who can take control early in the game. This will be rough and ready, and we could see quite a lot of claret on flow tonight.
Joe Philbin, he's certainly let nobody down. He got a massive vote of confidence against Leeds last week, and it's been carried through to this match here against St Helens by his coach Tony Smith. Ryan Atkins, who scored one of the tries, there is Joe Philbin. Ryan Atkins, who scored one of the tries last week, plays the ball to Darryl Clark. O'Brien under pressure with the kick downfield, straight into the arms of Adam Swift. This movement for Saints begins 20 metres from their own line. He makes 10, 11 good metres forward, does young Adam Smith.
And I like to see that from a winger as well. Far too often wingers take the ball deep in their own quarter, and they just sort of go across on the arc, and it allows the defending side to push them back. once you get it, as we saw there from Adam Swift, get those first 15 metres down and play the ball quickly.
Travis Burns helps the ball on to Atelier. He went straight over the top of Gareth O'Brien. Good job that Atkins was there. Ohio with a little scampering run. Here now comes Alex Walmsley, but Saints have reached the end of their first set of 6. This is the last tackle. Up it goes off the left boot of John Wilkin. Ratchford is making ground to try and take this. He does. And off the ground, sitting down, he gives it to Kevin Penny. The chase is good from St Helens, though, and he is hauled back by Bay and Burns.
Solid take from the fullback Ratchford, but tremendous work there from Kevin Penny. What a transformation for the winger. Penny knew exactly what to do, drop back, make sure that he got a few metres forward. But look at this defence from St Helens. They mean business.
Tony Smith, the Warrington coach, watching on as Ashton Sims, the Fijian international, plays the ball to Darryl Clark. He then finds Chris Bridge. Did a great job against Leeds last week. Plays the ball there to Darryl Clark again. Here comes James Laithwaite. What a revelation he's been this year. Top tackler against Leeds with 38 himself. Bridge gives it then to O'Brien. He went underneath a high shot, staggers his way forward over halfway, still going, gets the ball away to Ratchford. Ratchford then to Westwood. Westwood then bullets the pass over on the far side. And it goes high, and Tommy Makinson is underneath that. That came to nothing in the end. It was invented.
Well, it was unusual and unstructured, but I'm not sure that will be successful if they carry on doing much of that. Saints have been great, haven't they? Physically, they've won the first 3 minutes in this game. And there was so much pressure on the kicker that they felt the need to run the ball. It was a risky play that very rarely comes off.
Walmsley, met by Ashton Sims, gets his arms free, dumps the ball down into the arms of Paul Wellens.
But it's quite obvious that Kieran Cunningham, and of course his opposite, Tony Smith, both sides wanting to keep this ball alive. Oh, that's a good kick. You can see the backspin on the ball. This might hold up in the in-goal area, and it does. And that is superb work.
And Ratchford has to bring it out. He gets it as far as Dawson and Makinson. Then he's put to ground. Matty Russell is waiting at dummy half. Has a scamper away, Russell. Usually, of course, full-back. New lease of life since the move to the wing for the Warrington Wolves. Bringing the ball in field. Clark, the dummy half. Here is Kevin Penny. Again, talking about new lease of life. Kevin Penny has been a revelation in 2015.
Yeah, I'm sure the Warrington coach, Tony Smith, quite happy with the fact that Matty Russell, he was tremendous against Leeds last week. So was Kevin Penny. They do so much work from their own quarter. That's what we want to see more of. We saw it so often, Darryl Clark, when he was at Castleford. Let's hope that Tony Smith giving him a little bit more loose rein. Good catch.
That's a good catch. He was very tight to the touchline. Paul Wellens might have actually plonked 1 foot over the line, and that would have been deemed to have gone out on the full, but he brought the ball back in field instead. And here now comes Jordan Turner. 5 tries from 5 appearances so far. See if he just plunked that left foot over the whitewash. I think I'm right, Stuart. You're giving me a nod. That would have been out on the full.
That's it. If he puts his foot out and catches the ball's out on the full.
Would have been a cheap 20, 30 metres upfield. As it is, Saints still inside their own half. And Burns with a kick, arrowing it towards the corner. This will skip away from Ratchford. But Ratchford, he got to it as the ball bounced high. But the chase is good again from St Helens.
Brilliant stuff there. The kick was superb. Burns really lofted it into the corner. Look at the chase. This is going to be a highlight, Basil. The forwards, the way their defence is so solid.
It's been a fast start, and when you look at the quality on shore, there's a wide ball here.
Yes, there is, to Ryan Atkins. And there's some green grass ahead of him. He's got Penny on his inside as well. Atkins finds Kevin Penny. Penny bounces through one. Travis Burns gets to him and pulls him down 12 metres short. What a break by Warrington. And Darryl Clark, and that is a penalty against Travis Burns.
And I tell you what, that could have been a sin binning. That was a professional foul, 100%. He knew perfectly well that his side was not in position. You can see the forwards from St Helens struggling through. This is the break. He did well, did Travis Burns, to get to him.
So Warrington are running the penalty here, and why wouldn't they? So close to the line, they think they can get 6, never mind the 2. Ben Westwood Gets them to within a metre of the line. He plays the ball to Darrell Clark. Clark then flicks it to O'Brien. O'Brien looks for support, brilliantly picked up by Ratchford. Here is Atkins. Atkins, who started all this with that wonderful run a few moments ago. And 3 are there to harry him to the floor.
Just couldn't get the offload. Ratchford was screaming for it.
It's Clark again. This is big Ashton Sims trying to muscle his way to the line. 4 there in red and white shirts to bring him down. Clark is the dummy half. Fires the ball to O'Brien. Here now is Westwood. Westwood has lost it, and it's picked up by Kyle Moore. Great defence, St Helens.
Certainly Truth took their ground. They didn't mess around there, and I think Gareth O'Brien's picked up a bit of a knock, and not surprising. It was a very flat, short pass.
Eddie, I built this game up before on Sky Sports News this evening. I said it's a must-see event, and I'll tell you what, it hasn't disappointed. Just look at Warrington's composure and class under pressure at their own end of the field, and yet having the vision and ability to shift the ball to space and get to the other end of the field, and then complement that by St Helens' recovery. Look at the white shirts working hard to get back. I thought it should have been Simbin, he wasn't, and Saints have survived.
But it came off the back of a 5-minute period where both teams were prepared to get into the grind of those sets, get to the end of your set, kick long and tackle hard in your opposition's half. I think there's a lot of patience on shore from both teams, and we know that they can score points, but they look like they're here with their sleeves rolled up, ready to defend.
Well, St Helens have only conceded 11 tries in Super League so far this season in 5 rounds, and I think in that passage of play on their own line, we just saw exactly the reason why. Matty Dawson will bring it forward. Substitute last week against Widnes, comes into the side. Mark Percival is injured. Here is Walmsley again, tackle low down by Clark.
I do like that about Ashton Sims. He makes it personal. He did it last week against Jamie Peacock, and he's doing it this week against Walmsley.
There's a penalty here for a would-be trip. Ben Westwood is hurt here in all of this. The referee saw something.
Well, he's indicating a trip. I think that's it. It's Darrell Clark. I think he's been sidestepped and stuck his foot out. I'm not sure there was any contact there, but there was certainly an attempt.
No, there certainly didn't look contact as far as I was concerned. But
has he been penalised for the attempt then, Stuart, for the intent?
Well, it certainly looks that way. I think he might just make contact with his foot. Certainly from the referee's angle there, it probably looks like he does.
Can you just explain why Travis Burns wasn't Simbin for a penalty in the try-scoring position at the other after the break?
Well, I probably can't explain why he wasn't, but he certainly had the opportunity to put him in the Simbin at that stage for exactly the reason you said. You know, it was a try-scoring opportunity. He's just dived round. He knew exactly what he was doing. He had to stop that break.
And stop it he did, and then Saints defended their line with vigour. Lance O'Hire gets to his feet, plays the ball to Wellens. That was Walmsley. Here is Kyle Moore. He keeps the movement going to Wilkin. Wilkin then on to Burns. Burns with a long pass out wide, and it's Adam Swift. And Swift is taking on Kevin Penny, and Penny does well. And he gets a slap on the back from his colleagues for that. That's great defensive effort from Penny.
certainly is, but rather unorthodox. Went very high on top of the shoulder. It was a huge risk. Great long pass out wide, and he just thinks he has the speed, but that looks at, well, that's a grab round the neck as far as I'm concerned. This will show it a little bit more clearly. Well, surely that should have been a penalty.
Does he not duck down, Steve-O, in the process of trying to stay in the pitch? Adam Swift gets low. I think it's good play. Kevin Penny shows him the sideline.
He nearly pulled his head off.
He did eventually. But if you see Adam Swift and his body trying to get down, I think that's great defensive play.
Our referee's voice stays silent.
It was a high shot.
There's contact up there. You know, I don't think there's any intent to go for the head. There might have been slight contact on the head, but most of it was around the shoulder. And I think that's probably why he's got away with it.
So you can't just say, "Oh, I'm sorry about that." It's got to take control, these officials.
Philbin will bring the ball forward. There it is again. It was a bit high. It was round the neck. He was scragged over the line, that's for sure.
Well, is that allowed in the rules?
Apparently so, because there was no penalty given. Let's draw a veil over that now. Here is O'Brien. Back it comes to Bridge. Bridge then gives it to Ratchford. Ratchford goes wide, and he finds Ben Curry. Last one coming up then for Warrington, this set of 6. Ratchford and Bridge, high and across field. And Makinson waiting, pouches it cleanly.
That was a poor kick.
Good chase though by Warrington. Waited for him, sprung the trap.
Tony Smith's got to get message out and say, listen, if you're going to get the kicking game going, it's not down the throat. Look, put it down to about 10 metres away from the goal line, Saints goal line, shove it into the corner. Look where Saints are now. That's good work by the big prop forward.
It is Walmsley. A bullocking run, it really was, inside his own half. Here comes Atelier.
Settling well, this fella. Really works hard.
Rags to riches, isn't it? Bottom of the table last year with the Broncos, top of the table tonight with the Saints.
It's taken him many years of hard work, though. He's 28 years of age, don't forget. He's had to bounce around and wait and stay patient with his career for a long time. As Saints create some space.
Yes, they do. Beautiful ball from Jordan Turner to Adam Smith. And again, Ratchford bundles him into touch, and Swift just thumps the ground with frustration. That's twice he's been bundled over the line in exactly the same spot. Now by Ratchford, a few moments ago by Kevin Penny.
Yeah, he got away. He thought he had the pace. It was a nice in and out, but Ratchford was not going to be fooled. That's the way to tackle. Not round the neck, but round the legs. Look at this. This is superb. Great by the fullback, Ratchford.
There's times when tries are scored too easily for my liking in the Super League competition. Not in the opening 12 minutes of this game. Both teams defending as though a try would be the end of the night's hopes. Obviously it won't. There's a long time left in the game. It's great to see the same enthusiasm to stop tries as there is to score them.
Referee has seen blood from the head, as you can see there from Ashton Sims. He needs attention.
I think that might be a legacy of the big thundering charge from Alex Walmsley. Put his body on the line, put his body in front of the big fella.
Well, he needs obviously some attention. Not only that, he needs a change of jersey. So he's coming to the sideline to get tended to.
Might need a good shampooing as well, Ed. Plenty to go at.
It needs plenty of bandage to stop that one, that's for sure.
We're having a close look at it as this play the ball is now taken by Ben Westwood. Darrell Clark behind him. Whoa! Chris Hill wasn't going particularly far on that occasion. Clark again comes into centre field. Gives the ball then to Gareth O'Brien. He's dumped down by Burns.
I've been so impressed, Eddie, in regards to both these sides having the ability. Okay, good kick and chase. Oh, beautiful pass.
What a pass from Westwood to Ratchford. Ratchford's got support with him, and it's Bridge. And Bridge is brought to ground. The ball flings out towards Kevin Penny. He tried to be a bit fancy, airborne and flicking it. But there was a man waiting outside him. And St Helens survived.
Well, there's no doubt that at some point this season, Warrington are going to score the most spectacular try we've probably ever seen. Their attempts to score on that play were amazing. You know, the offload was fantastic, and then perhaps, as you say, too adventurous, and perhaps it was more tempting to just take in possession.
Well, they often say, Phil, that sometimes the skill factor is a little bit low at times, but that was out of the top draw by Westwood. This is out of the top draw. What a tackle.
Yes, Matty Russell with the tackle on Matty Dawson. Atelier finds Mossy Massoy, who's on, the big fellow. Last tackle, they have reached St Helens, this set of 6.
They're playing both sides as though it's a grand final.
Cracking kick across field from Travis Burns, claimed by Kevin Penny, who keeps the movement going and finds Ratchford.
Look at
Ratchford is pulled down by Lance O'Hire, one of the 30-odd tackles Steve-O said he had to make before the season got going.
He's got to keep going as well, but that is an amazing effort. You know, we saw there Kevin Penny take a little chip over the top, and it wasn't happy with that. Well, his interference, and you could see there that Lance O'Hire never made any attempt to get out of the way when he wanted to play the ball. But the speed of this game.
You've got to remember, though, Lance O'Hire's played hooker in an NRL Grand Final. He's played 29 tests for New Zealand, sometimes as the hooker. He's no stranger to that position, and you know, he made over 40 tackles last week for them very effectively with this, and still had the organisational ability to direct them in possession.
And it might be a decision based on how do you get the best out of James Roby. We're all super impressed with how much work he does and the 60-plus tackles he does in some games. But if you could take some of those efforts away, you might get more from James Roby.
Well, they find touch with the kick. Gareth O'Brien, that will help all round, because it will just give both sides a little bit of a breather. It's been helter-skelter for a quarter of an hour.
Yeah, and this is a wonderful play here, wasn't it, by Ben Westwood. Look at that. Ratchford bobbled around, put it in. They really should have scored here. They just panicked somewhat. Wasn't the best flick on, was it?
It nearly came off. It was Ben Curry, I think, who was waiting on his outside.
And I'll bet you Ben Westwood will say that Stephen Ratchford was there. He heard him. He knew that he would be there. He trusted him over a number of years. The relationship and the bond grows between an offloader and a support player, and Ratchford nearly got the first try of the game.
And the one thing I liked about it, Baz, was that mainly due to the fact, you know, nearly all the fullbacks in Super League, they all run out wide. Not this fella. Ratchford knows to come right down the middle. He does it ever so often. It's a good ploy by Tony Smith.
Kyle Amor back from a 2-match suspension. This is good. This will be equally so, I'm sure. Leeds Wigan tomorrow, Sky Sports 3, 7:30. We're seeing 4 of the top 5 in the first utility Super League this season so far. Laithwaite just had an extra tug on the collar of big Mossy Masoi.
He didn't need to do it either. You know, the way these athletes, especially from Warrington, have been utilising their defence and they're getting into a pattern very, very quickly. They don't need to do that. And the coach, Tony Smith, is fully aware of it. It's just a silly penalty to give away.
Amor takes it forward again. He got a try on his Saints debut, the first round of last year when St Helens went to Warrington and won by 38 points to 8. James Roby waiting his opportunity to come into the fray, but O'Hare's coping well, finds Burns, finds Wellens. 35 years young, Paul Wellens. O'Hare to Masoi, to Wilkin, and a lovely step through by Joe Greenwood. And another of the success stories of Super League 2015. Kieran Cunningham says of this young man, he is a superstar in the making. The coach was tempted to allow him to go out on loan to a championship club this year, but when he saw him in pre-season, he had second thoughts, and boy, is he glad he did.
Laithwaite, silly penalty. You can see just hanging on to the shorts, playing all over the big fella, Mossy Masoi. This is a perfect pass, isn't it? Look at this Wilkin. How many times has he done that? Not the fastest, of course, and not the first time that Wilkin has had to set into the half-back position, but it provided it superb.
And don't underestimate the role that Mossy Masoi plays on this part. He catches the ball more or less in the same step, hands it on to his teammate, creating some space, and young Joe Greenwood goes through for the first try of the game in what's been an enthralling first passage. First quarter has been of the highest class.
Yes, it have, and it's first try to Saints. Joe Greenwood and Burns will add the extras for St Helens. He kicked 5 from 5 against Widnes last week, and he's picked up where he left off. St Helens 6, Warrington 0.
And it's ironic, isn't it, to say that this young fella, Joe Greenwood, really has become a star this season. And the man on the opposite side, James Laithwaite, who gave away the silly penalty, he's been impressive this year. I've been impressed with both these young fellas.
And James Laithwaite probably commits the sin that creates the space. Mossy Masoi, when you see him that close to the line, you know you need to get up quick. He's a big fella and will take some stopping. I bet the bathroom scales are frightened to death when he jumps on them. But Laithwaite gets up quick, probably comes in a bit too far, and just creates that space out wide.
What are your bathroom scales like, Barry, when you jump on yours?
Well, I am not 21 stone, Eddie.
It's not a speaking scales, is it?
It'd be saying, get off!
I'm afraid,
can you both get off, please?
I'm afraid mine are speaking, Eddie, because I can't see the I can't see what weight it is.
Right, here come the Saints again with this man Atelier. The odds, you know, favour us St Helens win tonight. We've seen only 8 away victories from the 30 Super League matches staged in 2015 so far. Look, I know there's a long, long way to go yet, and Warrington and their supporters will be saying, you know, statistics, well, they're there to be beaten, but we'll see.
Well, the thing is, Warrington will be buoyed by the fact that they should have scored. They've had 2 clear opportunities, especially one when that little offload by Ben Westwood gave them the opportunity. Oh, that'll be
that was charged down and played at, and anyway, it doesn't matter because it's in the arms of Chris Bridge.
Well, there was just something that went on in that last play of the ball. Joe Greenwood took the ball up, Ben Westwood hit him, rubbed heads and foreheads with him, just trying to assert some power, and there's the rush kick on the last tackle, and Joe Greenwood got up quick, Ben Westwood left on the deck.
It's a penalty to Warrington.
Well, I think Tyler Himo just hanging around a little bit too long. Might have been over the top of the head yet. Try to give him a massage with his elbow. Not allowed.
So good ground coming up then for Warrington from that penalty. They begin this set of 6, 22 metres away from the Saints line. No need to go crazy. That was not a knock-on by Chris Bridge. This is Laithwaite. Ball now back in play. First tackle. Harold Clark, Chris Hill and Big Sims.
Interesting to see whether Stephen Ratchwood will become very close. Second receiver.
And here is Bridge, and there is Ratchford. The ball bouncing its way into the arms of Atkins. He finds Russell, whose foot was in touch.
Yeah, left foot just stepped out. Not impressed, Tony Smith. Good build-up, good opportunity. But he just touched the whitewash. There he goes, and not just touched it. Wow, he's nearly in Wigan.
That's terrible. That's terrible, Mike. I've got to disagree. There was no good build-up in that. They knocked on before they restarted the ball. Eddie, you made that comment. The ball wasn't back in play. The pass to Ashton Sims wasn't that great. And then they've fed the ball across the line. And by their own standards, I'd love to see Warrington attack with the backs. But that's appalling for them after 20 minutes to throw the ball and throw it to a place they're out of play.
Well, St Helens won't be arguing, of course, because they get head and feet at this scrum 10 metres out from their own line, and a chance here for them to work the ball up towards the other end. Makinson will have the first run.
Interesting to see how Warrington now makes sure that Saints don't get out of their red zone, and with defence like that, it's not going to be easy for the home side.
Kyle Moore makes 10 solid metres upfield, or higher again. And Burns inside his own 40-metre zone, but not the best.
Well, it's interesting that he's kicking on the third.
And he was under pressure as well.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that was in the coaching manual from Kieran Cunningham.
Russell this time has drifted in field. Gets them to halfway. Greenwood and Massoy saw to it that he wasn't going any further. Darrell Clark, Ashton Sims now. Straight at Lance O'Hire, who stood up well, helped out by Masso and Burns.
Maybe we could see a little bit more running from dummy half from Darrell Clark. He's been very, very quiet since his move to Warrington. I mean, everybody in rugby league realises that what he's capable of, but no, his forte is quick play the ball, get on with it.
They've reached the last tackle here of Warrington. It'll go off the boot of O'Brien in towards that corner. Kevin Penny's looking for this. And Kevin Penny nearly pinched it as well out of the arms of Adam Swift.
He wants to see whether he's taken the man.
They're just checking whether the St Helens defender was on the floor, Adam Swift, before he was tackled by Kevin Penny.
Well, I think they're both challenging for the ball there, and he actually comes down with his hands on the ball, so I don't think there's any problem with this. You've got the catch there. They're both challenging for the ball, so there's going to be contact in the area. It's a legitimate challenge. It could be a goal line drop.
And that's what it is. He's had the word in the ear. So good work by Kevin Penny again.
And good work by the referee, Ben Thaler. You know, things like that could just change the course of the game. We've got the facilities to check.
Tommy Makinson's goal line dropout gets about 38 metres upfield. Ratchford will give it to Sims. Putting in a good shift so far is Ashton Sims. He never takes a backward step, this fella, does he? Sinbind against Hull Kingston Rovers. This is Darrell Clark directing the operations with a flick of the back of the hand, and Westwood takes over. He goes down on tackle number 2, struggling to his feet. Clark. Here's Gareth O'Brien again. That's great work. Great work in defence by Matty Dawson.
Yeah, he knew the target, and it was a full-back Ratchford.
Sims again.
The one thing that Warrington have to do is play that ball a little bit quicker, because St Helens are holding them down.
O'Brien fires the pass to Bridge. Bridge then gives it width and finds Ben Curry. Curry backing himself with strength.
to be a late challenge
Yeah,
on the
it
ball
is.
player, won't it?
It was a
Gareth
full-blooded
O'Brien.
full-blooded challenge as well from Masoi. He was getting attention from Walmsley before. I'm not sure it's late. I know it's hard and heavy.
The ref thinks it was.
It's a penalty to Warrington bang in front.
Well, they're giving the shoulder charge for that one. That's what the penalty's for.
So they're not interested in the two, obviously, trailing by 6 points to nil. They're going for 6.
Quick play, the ball, go on your own, Clark.
And he tries to do exactly that, and he gets the try, does he? The referee looks both ways and will give the try. And now there's a bit of a schmozzle going on between Sims and Mossy Masoi, and they're all piling in. Westwood's involved too, inevitably. Something going on after the ball was grounded by Darrell Clark. So a bit of a schmozzle for the officials to sort out here.
Well, that was only his third run from dummy half, Darrell Clark, and it has proved to be the ace in the sleeve. He has scored the try that surely will give them the opportunity to square it all up at 6-all.
Well, Darrell Clark celebrating the try, and touch judges actually, and referee having a word about what went on thereafter.
Right, well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to give him a couple of seconds to cool it down. When we get to the middle, I'll pull them both out and have a word. Right, let's get on with them.
Well, he's not going to brandish any cards. He doesn't think there was a punch thrown.
And this is the challenge, and he could have pulled out of that with Masoi. No doubt in my mind. Either way, but that's good refereeing. The referee said to the two judges, he said, I didn't see a punch thrown. I'll have a little word with him at the halfway line, let's say. But that was good work, wasn't it, by Darrell Clark? As I say, on his third run from dummy half, third time lucky.
And his second try of the season for Darrell Clark, and this kick from Ratchford is going to put the sides level. I'd be interested to, and I know that they're still in the UK because they've stayed all week, have the Catalan Dragons. I'd be interested in getting their view of that late challenge, because there was something similar happened to Todd Carney in Perpignan the other week, and he came away with a cracked rib, and I think I'm right in saying there was no action taken on the field.
They are getting a lot of pressure out of those ball handlers. They're getting the middlemen coming at them with pace, trying to take the time away from them.
Well, that was as late or as slow or as quick as the hit on Todd Carney in France.
Penalty wasn't for a late challenge, it was for a shoulder charge. That's the difference.
Well,
so that's the difference. Yeah, they look like that's the difference, Stuart. The one on, because you were watching that game, the one on Todd Carney was not a shoulder charge.
It was a tackle, and it was deemed that the tackle was late. Was in time.
Was in time.
That one was a shoulder charge. Either way, they're having a little bit of a word.
That's what he said he'd do. He said he'd let them calm themselves down.
Listen to me.
And that's good thinking.
Apparently he says you're a lot bigger than him.
Also good thinking to do. Also good thinking, Eddie, is that he didn't bring the two players together. He's done it separately.
And you hear
what a great line that is.
Ben Westwood says you're bigger than him.
He's bigger than everybody, to be fair. Great line. Good sense of humour, the Super League players.
He's a favourite here, there's no doubt about that, and he's settled in well.
Here comes Sims again. Whoa! Greenwood and Masoi with a bit of help from the skipper.
Come to daddy. Oh boy, this is heating up now. Good run though from Chris Hill. Got to be careful, not give away a silly penalty. There's one thing being over enthusiastic, but you can see there that's a pull round. That could have been penalised. No doubt that Ateleve had his arm right underneath the chin.
Joe Philbin has got them to around about the 40-metre mark. Here's O'Brien. O'Brien then to Bridge, and Bridge puts boot to ball. Turns Paul Wellens around. And the veteran full-back will pick it up and run it back. And here comes the Saints' response. Bill Arthur.
Eddie, real shame, because Ashton Sims has just been replaced. Just as the guys were saying, it was spicing up, and you can be sure that Ashton Sims would have been involved in any spiciness. He's come off, and Roy Asatazi's come on eventually after a bit of a wait. But yeah, no place for the faint-hearted out there. Wasn't to start with, increasingly so.
Yes, big Roy Asatazi coming off the bench. 4th in a row he's come off the bench for Warrington tonight.
And again, we see both sides having that ability to bring the kick and chase back into a good position. Wilkin with the kick. That's better. Get it on the ground. And you can see they've got to turn around with it. That is a tremendous effort from Wilkin. Look at the chase. Bang!
Yes, good kick from Wilkin. Great chase from Greenwood and from this man, Louis McCarthy-Scarisbrooke.
You might have seen the interview with Kieran Cunningham just before this game began, the St Helens coach, and talking about how they'd worked with John Wilkin to try and improve his game. Well, clearly his tactical kicking there, territorially, they have dominated this game because their kicks from him and Travis Burns have been better at gaining ground and forcing the opponents back to their end of the field.
Yeah, you're right, Phil, because Warrington, they're putting the ball high, and it's allowing them to take it on the full there. Good run from Russell. This wonderful capability as the winger, Russell, to get him away. And again, they've gone for height. This will be right down the throat. Oh, no, he's allowed it to bounce. That's unusual. You don't normally see that from Paul Wellens.
Good job, Adam Swift was there, and Warrington Wolves were hunting him down in the pack, and they did. Here comes Wellens now.
And it just shows you the difference, Eddie, between... We saw that, remember, the kick down by Wilkins, St Helens, it allowed Warrington no chance to get through. Warrington were very fortunate because Wellens allowed it to bounce.
Ohio is still out there. It was a dummy half then. Here comes Vey again. Cunningham against Tony Smith. One coach in his first year. The man now starting his 7th. Looking for his 300th win in the Super League tonight. They've got space here though, the Saints, with Jordan Turner. And Turner hacks the ball forward. It bounced off the chest on into the arms of the skipper Wilkin. There's going to be a decision here, I think, for the referee.
Yeah, it's a try.
I wonder whether they might hand it up, but obviously not. The kick, the ricochet, the gather, the try, and Wilkin, the captain, comes up with the 4-pointer to put St Helens back in front. A new 1-year contract extension signed this week to the end of next year, and John Wilkins celebrates with this try.
Good quick hands there, and you can see there the dummy runner, which was the fullback Paul Wellens. Turner puts a kick on 2 occasions. I'm with you, Eddie. Maybe the official could have looked to see whether anybody was onside or offside. Either way, it's on the scoreboard already. This is the kick that ricochets away, then he gets another boot to it. Was Wilkin behind? Either way, it makes no difference. He's celebrating, and the home crowd, boy, listen to them now.
Yes, John Wilkins' try re-establishes the St Helens lead. Was there a question mark about that hack forward that he collected?
Not in my book. I'm more than happy with where he was. You know, the officials were in a good position going through.
It's not that one.
Scrappy. It's this one here is well behind.
Yeah, he's onside. Well onside, yes. Well done, Ben Thaler and his 2 touch judges. Actually, Ben was perfectly positioned, as you can see, the man in the yellow jersey there. Wilkins timed his run to perfection. And now can Travis Burns time his kick to perfection. He made his Super League debut for Hull KR against Warrington in 2013. And he has added the extras. So St Helens lead by 12 points to 6 as we rejoin Bill Arthur.
Eddie, there's a bit of bewilderment in the ground. John Wilkin crossed and the ground PA started playing I've Got a Brand New Combine Harvester, that smash hit by, I think it was the Wurzels. And apparently it's a new thing this season. They're trying to link it to each try scorer, so they've got a bit of music for him. But 1 or 2 people scratching their heads, and then they realise that John Wilkin is actually from a farming family in East Yorkshire. So that was the reason for that. Just waiting to see what they're going to play when Louis McCarthy-Scarisbrooke goes over. It probably knees up Mother Brown or something like that.
It probably will, Phil. Paul Wellens underneath the restart.
Might have a few swear words in it. We know Louis McCarthy like we do. He has a slight dose of Tourette's.
This is Alex Walmsley now. Down he goes. Second tackle. Just over half an hour. St Helens back in front by 12 points to 6. Atelier bringing it forward. And Westwood leading the big men and a couple of the smaller guys. O'Brien and Russell helping out.
Well, I know there's a little bit of luck that was included with that. That's a good handoff there.
It is.
Roby out there.
Here's the try scorer. Wilkin gives it to Greenwood. Jordan Turner was on his shoulder.
Do you know, Greenwood's been good on that left edge. I think he contributed significantly to that last try with an early pass to Jordan Turner, who just comes up with a mistake. No, play on.
Yes, it was
a steal.
Touched by the Warrington Wolves.
Definitely a steal.
Tackle count restarts.
It was Kerry that pulled it out. Well spotted by the official.
So a glorious opportunity here for St Helens and Louis McCarthy Scarsbrook.
A tackle by Hyam had to be.
Right underneath the posts. Roby gets the ball away. Greenwood looking for his second. Held up.
Yeah, Laithwaite underneath. Wasn't going to allow Greenwood to score his second try of the night. That was for sure. It'll still be running through the brain box of Laithwaite for giving away that penalty that allowed Saints to score their first try.
So here is Walmsley now trying to batter his way to the line. That's the last one, this set of 6 for the Saints, this extra set of 6 that they had. Burns gives it to Wilkin, long looping pass wide. Swift is in. What a ball out wide that was. What a pass. Tremendous try from Adam Swift, but the pass from the skipper, John Wilkin, was absolutely wonderful. Unlocked the Warrington defence out wide, and Swift just scampered in for his second try of the campaign. Wonderful record in scoring tries. His try against Castle last month, 31st in 40 appearances. He hasn't scored since until this moment.
And there you see quite clearly that was briefed away. That allowed them the extra set of 6. But the long ball out wide from Wilkin is superb. I'm afraid Kevin Penny was left in no man's land. Why on earth that Warrington went for a sliding defence when there should have been man-on-man where they were so close to the line? It allowed Swift an easy run in.
But what Kevin Penny's done here is what he did in the first 10 or 15 minutes. He showed and given the outside to Adam Swift. Showed in the touchline, but it's a wonderful pass that splits the defence. And Adam Swift, who's hugged that touchline all night, knew that the skill of John Wilkin and the ambition of the pass and perfect execution would give him the chance to get in the corner.
Well, I don't know whether you saw the celebrations, but Louis McCarthy Scarsbrook came in. He nearly took John Wilkin's head off in the hug for that wonderful pass. Now then, this is a test of Travis Burns' goal kicking. Sure-footed so far, 100%. Oh, that's 3 from 3 from Travis Burns. And St Helens have opened up a 12-point gap.
It was 5 from 5 last week, 3 from 3 tonight. Certainly hitting the boot very well. St Helens look to me like a team that have played lots of small-sided games because they attack very naturally. They see chances and they convert them into tries. Last week and this week, their attack is brilliant. It's natural, it's fluent. They're also a team that seems to be drilled to control the ball. Very few errors in the game so far tonight. And thirdly, they kick and try and territorially dominate their opponents, playing as much as they can at the other end of the field. With those 3 key principles, they've been very successful in this competition.
And they have been in the opening 34.5 minutes of this contest here tonight. They lead by 18 points to 6, looking to open up a 4-point gap at the top ahead of Leeds against Wigan tomorrow night.
This is where they've been so successful, Eddie. Their kicking game has certainly far outweighed what Warrington has thrown them at. Warrington quite able to keep it up in the air, which has been, well, just manna from heaven in regards to St Helens, whereas the kicking game has been completely different.
Penny going nowhere under that challenge from Wilkin. Travis Burns, I think, was looking for a 40-20 with that long kick downfield 3 tackles ago. He recorded one at Widnes last week. Here is Chris Hill.
Well, the one thing that Tony Smith will be talking about at half-time will be the fact that Warrington had themselves a sliding defence with only like 10-15 metres away from their own goal line. You've got to put up a man-on-man. It was so easy, wasn't it?
I don't think they've won the play the ball in this first half. That middle channel for Saints has been really lucrative for them. They've got the quick play the balls they need. They've been able to find some space and some gap after the damage that they've done in the middle. The middle unit for Warrington, they need to be a little bit better in the second half to compete with what has been a very dominant Saints.
Well, Roby is out there, as we've seen. He gives the ball here to Alex Walmsley. Kieran Cunningham, Sean Long. No doubt that Long has been working very hard with the kicking of all concerned, the likes of Wilkin, as Kieran Cunningham alluded to in the pre-match interview, and of course Travis Burns. Letellier again. Last tackle they've reached.
Isn't it amazing, Eddie? You know, 18 points to 6 Saints are leading, and we now see that the Warrington defence is all over. That was forward a mile. We now see a Warrington defence that is like a dog's back leg. You know, up to the build-up in the first 20 minutes, they were all going as a unit out wide. Some are going, some are hanging back, and there's no doubt about the forward pass to Louis McCarthy. The best there from Travis Burns.
The argy-bargy between Burns and between McCarthy Scarsbrook rather than Kevin Penny. The chairman of Saints, Eamon McManus, enjoying no doubt what he's seeing here tonight as Ben Evans takes this forward for Warrington.
And it'd be interesting just to watch on this set of 6 how many times the Warrington attackers get through the play the ball and find the front and are able to play the ball quicker than the markers are set, and then the next time that Saints get the ball.
You know, Eddie, I posed a question before this game started. Oh, that'll be a great help. Warrington realised they need to score before they're going into half-time. I posed a question before the start of this game. Could Lancer Hire give that same defensive pattern that we've used to with James Roby? Well, the answer is yes. He had 23 whilst he was out there. He's done a tremendous job.
And I've just made my point again. That penalty came on the back of falling on the front, getting through the play the ball. Saints couldn't handle it. Let's see if Warrington can back it up.
George King is out there for Warrington, this 20-year-old who made his first appearance of 2015 against Hull KR, and he retained his place last week in this. O'Brien to Bridge. Short ball then to Ben Curry, out the back door from Curry. Risky business again.
Panic, it's called, Eddie. Not risky, panic. When they needed a little bit more composure. Remember, they haven't had much possession in the last 15 minutes. And when you get an opportunity there, make sure you try to get at least another set of 6.
I'm sure I just read Richard Agar's lips there. Patience, boys.
Yes, Richard Agar, the right-hand man for Tony Smith in 2015. We're watching the first of at least 3 Saints Warrington battles in 2015 tonight. They meet again at the Magic Weekend at Newcastle in May, and then they have a date in round 22 at the Halliwell Jones Stadium in July. Here comes Walmsley, Roby. Well, they were waiting then. They were waiting for a knock-on decision that never came.
Well, I don't know why. You can see quite clearly that Walmsley have pushed that ball backwards. Bit of a lunge there.
And backwards off Roby.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
They 3, 4, 5 primrose yellow and blue jerseys attracted to the big fellow.
Oh, that's a knock-on. Oh, no, he said he came off his boots.
Walmsley.
I like
turn and offload.
I like his style. He just doesn't get through some hard work. You can see him trying to twist in the tackle, trying to make sure that he has the opportunity to drop it out. What a great kick. Now, I get the impression that Matthew Russell must have lost that in the lights. He looked totally confused. Again, the kicking game from Saints, far better.
He keeps looking at the line, doesn't he? He's not aware where he is in relation to the ball.
There's no disadvantage, though, really, from him catching it or not catching it. With this time on the clock and the decision going out there like that, so it was worth taking the risk. I think it was going to go out on the full.
Yes, and there's only, as you say, Phil, there's only 12 seconds remaining this half. The referee has called time off, but he did ask twice or 3 times for clarification. But Kieran Cunningham's kicker, Roby, hadn't put that ball out on the full.
You know, I can't believe there's only 10 seconds remaining. Remember, Saints, they haven't a full-back back. No one does in Super League these days. Why don't they kick from the base of the scrum?
Andy Russell takes the last tackle of that first half. But John Wilkins' men have bossed. They were 6-0 up. They clawed their way back, Warrington, courtesy of the Darrell Clark try. Then Wilkin with the try, and then a beautiful ball from the skipper, John Wilkin, wide to Adam Smith. He strolled in. Burns has kicked all three conversions of Greenwood's, Wilkins and Swift's try. And we have 18 points to 6-2.
We're warming up nicely for a pretty good Easter. No wonder you love your Super League here on Sky Sports.
Yes, Easter on Sky Sports, live only with us, and this is the fare we have for you. Thursday, the 2nd of April at 7:30 on Sky Sports 2, the big city derby. Hull against Hull Kingston Rovers. What a kick-off to the Easter holiday. Followed swiftly by Castleford and Leeds on Good Friday at 12:30, and then Wigan Saints at 2:45. Both of those are on Sky Sports 1. Take Saturday and Sunday off. We're back on Easter Monday with 2. Warrington against Castleford at 2:40 on Sky Sports 1, and the Catalan Dragons will entertain Widnes in Perpignan at 5 on Sky Sports 2. Pardon me for this, that all adds up to a cracking Easter programme. Saints 18, Warrington 6, half-time here at Langtree Park. Greenwood, Wilkin and Swift, Burns with the 3 conversions, and the Warrington Wolves try coming from Darrell Clark, and Ratchford with the conversion. What a good half of Super League that was, and St Helens in the dressing room will be mighty pleased with the first 40 minutes of work. Tony Smith has been watching quietly from the sideline. He's chasing his 300th Super League victory, and well, he's a little way off it just yet. 40 minutes though to put the records straight. Let's join Brian and John for their take on the first half.
Yeah, thanks very much, Eddie. 40 minutes to put the record straight, 40 minutes to fix up a lot of things that have gone wrong with this Warrington Wolves side. You might have caught a glimpse of a sign behind Kieran Cunningham that said united, ruthless and honest, and that's what St Helens were. We put question marks against this side, said it's the biggest test of the year for them so far. Half-time 18-6 up. They're passing with flying colours. But, John, in the first quarter of this game, they were under pressure and had to withstand some Warrington Wolves attacks before they put the first scores on the board.
Yeah, Saints had a couple as well. Swift down that left-hand channel a couple of times, but that was fairly easily dealt with by Warrington. St Helens at this time, they were jamming in really tight, and allowing the edges there free. So smart play between Bridge and O'Brien to get the ball to Atkins on the outside. Just going to pick Ryan Atkins up here, because I think at this point here, you've got to start to take away one of the best fullbacks in the game and commit him to the tackle and make it a straight foot race between, who in my opinion is the fastest man on the park, and Swift in pursuit. You know, I'd be happy to see a straight foot race between these two. I don't think he does enough to commit Paul Wellens.
Either take Wellens on or take him out of the play.
Yeah. He could have taken, there's another step, maybe a sharper angle that he could have taken. That's a chance gone, that, in a game that I think will ultimately be decided by 4 to 6 points. That's a real chance gone, and that for me, that's a yellow card all day, every day of the week. Okay, no yellow card given, but another Warrington Wolves chance again. And again, wasteful at the end of this. Benny Westwood's break on this one, an area you identified before the game. This is what we were talking about out the middle. That's something that Warrington do really well, something that Saints had to look out for. But again, they get themselves in a brilliant position. I'm just not sure about that final pass, and we saw Ben Curry just before half-time throw an equally, if I'm honest, desperately looking pass around. Now, this was a try. This was Greenwood's try. So Warrington had the best of the chances. It's Greenwood who gets the score. I'm wondering what Stefan Ratchford's doing sitting short side there. For me, he needs to be over here, because the gaps between these players here I think he's far too big for goal line defence. You look at the space. You said to me just before we came on air, you wouldn't be comfortable defending like that.
No, there was 3-on-3 on the short side. I think they had enough numbers, and you're absolutely right. You push Stephen Ratchford over, and it makes their job a little bit easier. Having said that, John, you've got an examination here of Laithwaite and Curry, and they were exposed in this.
Yeah, and that's because of the space inside him. Laithwaite's initial movement is in. He's the guy who's highlighted for you with the arrow. Immediately moves in because he feels uncomfortable on that inside shoulder. Curry comes in, and it's Greenwood who goes through, and they looked increasingly worried on that right-hand edge as the game went on.
Right, Ben Curry maybe not caught out positionally on that occasion, but he was caught out positionally in the next play. That was 17 minutes at 6-0 to St Helens. Darrell Clark hit back, and then this to John Wilkin try on 28 minutes.
Yeah, just before the half-hour mark. John Wilkin there just motioning to his players, stay behind me, 5th tackle. Everybody knows what's coming, but I think if you're going to shoot the line like this with one person behind you, and the winger Kevin Penny already dropped back for the kick, you really offer yourself up for an attack on the outside of you. It makes John Wilkins' decision so much easier to get on the outside, and then it's just down to putting it through the hands. They looked shaky and uncertain on that right edge throughout the majority of that first half. Certainly after the positive opening 5 or 10 minutes, I thought they were very poor for the remainder of the half.
Wilkin the scorer, turns Wilkin the provider to put Saints 18-6 up. This on 32 minutes.
Again, same problem you've got. Goal line defence. This is what you've got to make sure you understand. It's goal line defence. And again, I'll highlight the gaps between these players. Crucial area of the field. You're not going to feel comfortable here. Have a look at Laithwaite. He's coming in.
5 Warrington Wolves short side as well, must be noted.
And again, and Stephen Ratchford sitting right underneath, right behind the ruck. So have a look at Laithwaite's movement now. Again in, and that undoes Curry on the outside. And then he leaves Bridge and Penny all at sea on that right edge. They've got a lot of work to fix up that right edge. I know there are people playing out of position, but they've got to do better than that.
Yeah, you were questioning how they have dropped off so drastically since that victory over Leeds. They got 40 minutes, Eddie, to set the record straight, as you said when you threw down to us. Have they got time enough to do it? Wait and see. It's a tough St Helens side.
Yeah, it is a tough St Helens side, and although Warrington have beaten the Saints in 8 of the last 12 meetings, they do still trail St Helens in Super League. They've met 50 times, you know, prior to tonight. Warrington have lost 39 of those. They have drawn 2. All this since 1996. Can they make it 9 of the last 13 victories against the Saints? You're in the best place, the only place to find out. Well, second half about to get underway here, and Warrington, well, they have not lost on this ground for 5 years. Saints, though, on course to end that record, Phil.
Well, there's a 12-point gap on this scoreboard. Very little difference, though, in the stats. No, St Helens have control the ball very similar. I think stats will suggest it's a bit closer. Can Warrington narrow the gap?
That's the question, can they? When they were beaten here by Warrington last September, the Wolves, I must say, looked the more likely champions, more so when Saints lost at Huddersfield the following week. That remains their last Super League defeat. They've won 8 in a row at Super League and playoff level, have St Helens, and they are under the kick-off. The ball was picked up out of the air by Paul Wellens, and he got it away to Greg Richards, who goes down for the first tackle of the match.
Well, they're on their way to another victory, Eddie, as far as I'm concerned, unless Warrington can sort a few problems they had in that first stanza. A, the kicking game, and B, their defensive pattern really went to pot in the final 15 minutes of that first half.
Louis McCarthy Scarsbrook takes tackle number 4, still midway inside their own half of the field, the Saints. Kicking from Wilkin. That was a 40-20 attempt, I think.
It was pretty close to it as well. He's been outstanding tonight, hasn't he? John Wilkin, the captain.
Head and feet to Warrington, though. Just missed it by about 3 or 4 metres.
But this has been the department where they have just controlled it. Amazingly, you know, Warrington against Leeds last week, their defence was absolutely solid. Their kicking game and their chase was out of the top draw. I'm afraid that well, they've lost the sideboard today.
Ben Curry drives the ball out on the first tackle from that scrum. Hyam is still out there. And this is George King.
Eddie, it was a good quality kick from John Wilkin, but I think on a number of occasions St Helens kicked early, and what they're doing is they're playing the game, they're playing the patience game. That was a kick on the 4th tackle. A number of times in the first half, it was on the 3rd tackle. So what they're saying is, we're going to boot the ball as far down the pitch as we can and challenge you, Warrington Wolves, to come away from your own line.
That's 4 tackles gone. The boot from Mickey Hyam over the top. And will it skip away? Yes, it's too long. Adam Swift took the gamble, allowed it to run dead in goal.
Well, sometimes it can work, Eddie. You know, when they tap on the 20, you can see they had the line defence pretty solid, but St Helens have this wonderful knack, certainly for most of the periods in that first half, where they really got into a good position to get that kick and chase game working.
Well, St Helens on course then to maintain this wonderful start to the Kieran Cunningham era. 18-6 they lead. Opening 3 minutes of the second half. Here comes Alex Walmsley.
Interesting point you make, Eddie. People talk a lot about experience in coaching being important, but there are several examples of coaches in the very first season being in charge of a team and the team going on to be successful, winning the grand final. And it wouldn't be unheard of the way that St Helens have started this season. Without Luke Walsh, who we assume is one of the more important attacking players, they actually look far better than they did last year. They missed some players. Roby didn't play last week, and I suspect he's probably got something like a sternum injury for a player to miss and then start on the bench. The way he's been tackling as well does seem to be a little bit different. So they've not got everybody at full fitness, and they still look better than they did last year.
Little anger you might have just caught sight of there from John Wilkins. He was disappointed that his kick ran dead in goal. That's given Warrington the possession that they're currently enjoying, but not any longer because Chris Bridge has knocked on. When you consider what happened a week ago, well, 6 days ago, at Haribo Jones Stadium, this Warrington side is a shadow of the team that beat Leeds.
Certainly is, and they're just confused with each other. You could see quite clearly there that wasn't the best pass. Chris Bridge had already gone.
Well, Mickey Hyam would probably want another step to engage the markers, and because of Joan Greenwood and his urgency at marker, he took that time away from the 9, so consequently the ball was behind Chris Bridge. Good work from Saints. They've been defensively excellent.
Roby from the back of the scrum gives it to Louis McCarthy-Scarsbrook. With Louis third in a row off the bench. Interference on the floor by Ben Westwood. Penalty to St Helens.
Well, an awful pass that from Mickey Hyam allowed him to lose possession, and then hanging around Louis McCarthy-Scarsbrook.
Oh, now this is interesting. They've elected here to have a shot at goal with Travis Burns. Just stretches the lead somewhat. 2 converted tries, the difference at the moment.
Well, they're back in their own defence, aren't they? They're saying, listen, we get 2 more. You're going to have to do something pretty amazing if you want to score a try against St Helens this year. So if he gets this, just extend that lead to 14 points, and it becomes a massive task then. The way they defended the line in the first half, and the scramble and recovery when the line was broken, this would push it to a very tough task now for the Wolves.
And obviously, Eddie, he's got enough power. Even if he misses it, they'll get the ball back from the dropout. So it's not a bad decision there by the skipper, John Wilkin.
Exactly 40 metres out, as you can see. Gives it a good thump. I think he's got underneath it, though, and got it the wrong way. Oh, I think he's taken it out. Stefan Ratchford, he caught the ball on the full and staggered over the dead ball line. It's a goal line dropout.
Well, he's just lost himself 20 metres with that. If the ball had gone out on the full, it would have been a restart, a dropout on the 20-metre line. So it probably would have been better just letting it run.
His foot was on the line when he caught the ball, wasn't it?
He's jumped from the field of play, though. He's caught it in the air, then gone down.
So goal line dropout. Saints then will begin this and take the first tackle midway inside the Warrington half of the field. Oh, he's jumped from the field of play.
Go. Need you quicker, James.
It doesn't help matters when you come up with silly errors like that. And again, we've seen Saints, they're far more urgent. Oh, you've got to make sure you get the tackle.
And he missed him. He doesn't miss Swift this time. But Adam Swift trying to burrow his way towards the line. Go up and over the head almost of Burns. He clutched it out of the air. Fine Wilkin. He just Lays it off neatly, pops it up for Louis McCarthy's Carsbrook. Bang in front of the posts.
Will he kick early, Eddie? It'll be interesting, this one.
This is Wilkin. Burns, good hit by Atkins. Read that.
Felt it as well.
Yes, he's getting up gingerly is Travis Burns. Roby and Wilkin will hoist the kick towards the goal line. Ball claimed by Jordan Turner. Out wide it comes to looking for Swift, and Ratchford read the script perfectly.
Yeah, in a good position. He had to be in full-back Ratchford. It was another teasing kick, though. He's got him all for offside.
Well, it raises a really interesting question, Stu. You might just explain. When can the defenders move forward from the referee? Because I think that should be cleared up. Just how quickly Saints did it in the first half.
Well, they can move forward when the man playing the ball puts his foot on the ball. That's when they can move forward.
Not when the ball, Eddie, is placed on the floor. And there's a big difference here. You've got to look at when the ball touches the foot. If it does touch the foot.
Well, it did then from Asatazi, to be fair. I was going to raise that point. What happens if it doesn't touch the foot?
Oh,
but that's a debate for another day. That's a debate for another day.
Yeah, we just ignore it. Get on with it. Well, it's a time now that we're Warrington.
Again, two penalties on the run here. Warrington.
I'm just saying that he shove it under the corner. Well, did he lose control there? I'm not so sure that it was helped along the way. Obviously, he thought, and that man is the referee. Ben Taylor thought there was fingers in there.
So this is a chance for Warrington at the start of this second half.
Well, I've got to ask you a little bit more questions than what they did in the first. You know, this one out. Oh, come to daddy again. Richards with a big hit.
Big hit on George King, that was. Hyam to O'Brien. Wide it goes to Atkins. Wellens got to him, but Atkins almost got through, making some sort of it that he wouldn't. Ratchford a dummy half. O'Brien, King again.
They're screaming, put it out wide here on that right-hand side. But watch how Saints will come back. They've gone the short side.
And Nicky Hyam throws in. Paul Wellens furious with the defensive line. Nicky Hyam, though, ghosted through them. He had 4 years at St Helens, 2001, 2005. They know all about him here. But they didn't know much about him then in that defensive line. They were looking to come this way and find Kevin Penny maybe out on the wing. As it is, Hyam just ghosted through them.
One of the very few occasions where they failed to move up. I think it was a Teo Verde that just went out of the line and he couldn't get to him. Mickey Hyam, as he's done for so many years, he knows that they're back in it, and so do the fans that have travelled here tonight.
Nicky Hyam, the try scorer. Yes, a grand final winner in his days with the Saints. He was in the World Club Challenge as well against the Roosters in 2003. They lost 38-0. That rings a bell. Gareth O'Brien to try and add the extras this time. He hasn't missed one yet in 2015. Still hasn't. Warrington back in it.
Well, I imagine that Kieran Cunningham will be furious because his team have conceded 2 tries and their opponents haven't had to pass the ball for either of them. Remember, Dal Clark dived over from a metre out and Mickey Hyam just picked up the ball and run 2 or 3 metres to between 2 defenders to score. When you consider how well they've defended with so many of the bodies when the line's been broken, to concede the 2 soft ones that they have, well, that would almost drive you crazy.
And Phil, it was a classic case of trying to fix something that hadn't happened. You see Travis Burns, he jumped out, he tried to get up quick and cut the options down of Mickey Hyam, who's got too much craft, and he goes over and gets a try.
Well, the last time that St Helens beat Warrington here was a playoff. Well, actually it wasn't here, it was in the town of St Helens. It was a playoff at Knowsley Road, September 2010. 28-12 winners. And guess who scored a try that night? Kieran Cunningham. Who else? This is Ratchford. Was there a hint of a lost ball in that play the ball just before this?
Westwood, I think he lost control of it and they haven't seen it, neither of the
I think there was a hand in Walmsley, helped it on its way.
Ben Evans.
They've got to ask her to keep saying it. They've got to a little bit more questions here.
This is the last one. And that's an awful play of the ball. A right mess. And the referee has given the knock on this time.
And I think Ben Evans might be injured. He ends up doubled over. It's like a hamstring or a back injury. Look at the angle that his leg's at in comparison to his body.
I think you'll find this ball's been just nudged out by the St Helens player here. The play of the ball just pushed out there.
And when Ben Evans is in that collision, the last thing he's thinking about is the ball, because he's almost doubled up. Look at him holding his hamstring.
Well, his legs are almost forced in the splits, aren't they, when John Wilkin picks up one leg and drags it.
Hey, we commend players sometimes, don't we, on the bravery and their ability to keep hold of the ball when they get injured, but you can't blame a player in that situation.
Well, pretty difficult to ascertain whether there were fingertips in there, but it leaves Warrington with a pretty big hill to climb now.
Well, Ben Evans
is in a lot of
leaves
trouble.
the field to the applause of the Warrington faithful, and it's not the best times for the Evans family, because as Ben is helped from the field, brother Reese is on the sidelines here, and he's got his arm in a sling. He's still recovering from injury, and he looks like he's on his way down to see how his brother is. So here's Makinson. Oof, that was a bit high from Benny Westwood.
Not seen again by the officials. This is where St Helens now, they've got to show their composure. They don't have to chase. Okay, they're only 6 points in front. It's Warrington that have got to come up with something different, though.
Great hands. That was Travis Burns to Jordan Turner. In the end, they got to him. James Laithwaite and Stephen Ratchford. Wellens from dummy half finds Wilkin. Wilkin then gets the short ball away to Greg Richards. 11 metres away from the line now. Saints tackle number 4. Roby, Wilkin, Burns again, shaped to go right, came up the middle. Good job that Asatazi was there. He was the last line of defence almost then for the Warrington Wolves. Roby, shaped to pass, eventually did to Wilkin into the in-goal area, looking for Jordan Turner. Stephen Ratchford to the rescue.
And that's all Saints have to do. And they know it. They've got enough experience out on the field of play. They're down in a good position, just dink the ball into the in-goal area.
But give credit to John Wilkin. It's a messy play of the ball, too many bodies in the way, and he puts it into the place exactly where he wants it. His teammates react in the form of Jordan Turner, and that's wonderful play. Build pressure, that's the mantra of the St Helens side at the minute. They've absorbed some pressure. We saw that try from Mickey Iam. That'll still be stinging in their mind.
It's all about control, and I'm afraid tonight we're seeing this man just doing that. He's had a tremendous evening.
Ratchford's goal line dropout, reaches halfway, finds Travis Burns. He then gives it to Walmsley. Really picks up pace in a very short space of time for
And he
the big
has a
man.
good spin as well. He sort of almost avoids the collision and rides that momentum and gains another 3 or 4 metres after it.
Televe goes down on tackle number 2. He goes Roby. Probing Roby. Important tackle that was. Burns, short ball, Greenwood. He's got one in the first half. Is he going for another in the second? Yes, he is, but he's held up by 4 defenders. Darryl Clark back out there as well. Penalty. Hands in by Stephen Ratchford. And, well, he's protesting his innocence, and Ben Thaler will have none of it. Now, they kick for goal from 40 metres out.
No,
Some time ago. They'll go again, will they, this time?
No, they'll tap it. Of course they will. 8 metres out, that's what you got to do.
There's Greenwood again, and that's the Warrington goal line, the try line that they're after. Roby, oh, that was a bit easy for Louis. Big Louis McCarthy Scarsbrook powers his way over, does he? Now then, what's the referee and touch judges see? What's their on-field decision?
Can we just check he's not lost the ball?
Lost ball, but they've got to try, so they've got to prove 100% that maybe he did lose the ball, but Louis McCarthy Scarsbrook doesn't think he did.
Well, I just think it's the position of the referee, and that's why they've sent it up. He wasn't in a great position to see the grounding. So he's still in possession of the ball as the ball's going down. He's got his hand all the way down on that ball. That'll be a try.
So LMS comes up with the 4-pointer. His third in a row off the bench. And Louis McCarthy, Scarsbrook's pace and power takes him to that 4 points. This young man was in a Harlequin side that beat Warrington 60 points to 8 at the Stoop in 2009.
Silly playing around there, Ratchford got the penalty and their mind wasn't on the job. This is simple. Ever so easy. It's probably one of the easiest tries that you find that Louis McCarthy Scarsbrook's going to score. He knew they hadn't got the defence set.
Travis Burns adds the extras and St Helens have re-established their 12-point advantage. Bill.
Eddie, I was speculating on what Louis McCarthy Scarsbrook's try-scoring music would be. Lo and behold, Louis comes up with a try. The PA comes up with, I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts. I think they could have done better than that, really. Needs that Mother Brown for mine.
Well, there you go. I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts. Louis McCarthy Scarsbrook. You've got a lovely bunch of points. He's got 4 of them. And, well, it could have been anything, that, couldn't it? It could have had anything there.
I'm saying nothing. I'm not getting any more trouble. Poor blimey.
Well, he'll be delighted with that. And so will his coach, Kieran Cunningham.
And so he should be, Eddie, because it just shows you tonight how St Helens, they've controlled it. Their kicking game has been far superior. And that's good refereeing. They know they're getting a bit late in the game and swinging arm from Westwood. Just made a slight contact. But the workhorses for St Helens really have been tip-top, haven't they? The likes of Walmsley, Bayer, Osimasoe when he came on. They've just worked for each other. That's a good charge down, but they'll get the extra 6.
Oh, Nicky Hyam is furious that that ball ricocheted perfectly for Alex Walmsley. He made a big effort to get the charge down.
There's still over 20 minutes left in this game, and you can see with the ethic that Warrington have got when they're charging the ball down, there's still points in this game, and there's still points from Warrington Wolves.
Roby, play on, says the referee, even though it wasn't the best. Played the ball. Try scorer McCarthy Scarsbrook. Roby. Walmsley was on his shoulder, gave it to Wilkin, he gave it to Greenwood. Roby waits again. And scamper away, just drops the ball on his toe. Ratchford picks it up. Now, what can Ratchford do? Because he's good at this. He gets as far as Greenwood. And then he's pushed back by a combination of Burns, Adam Swift and Greg Richards.
We're almost an hour into the round 6 game here, and I never imagined that I'd say the most improved team from 2014 would be the champions from last season. You know what, they've really done, I got all my years mixed up there though, didn't I? I'm saying the most improved side this season were the champions last season. St Helens have got even better. Here goes Warrington down the sideline. But just look how hard it is to break the line and how hard St Helens want to recover.
Penny was a solid enough run, and he wants to get on with it quickly. He was held down a bit by Makinson. They got broken play out wide, the Warrington Wolves. Kick over the top into open space.
Whoa, got away with it.
He did just, Matty Dawson.
That could have gone anywhere, and Dawson knows it. The beautiful kick into the corner, from the best we've seen from the Wolves tonight.
There's a St Helens player, meanwhile, on the floor at the other end of the field.
Could it be Joe Greenwood, perhaps, I think?
Oh, he just got away with this, didn't he?
I didn't think it was the right decision when he put the kick in, but as the old adage goes, a kick's only as good as its chase, and there were plenty of Warrington shirts in the frame to make it uncomfortable for Matt Dawson. That's where the error and mistake came. Yeah, it's Joe Greenwood. That'd be a desperate shame. He's having a fantastic season. You watch as he goes into contact. Yeah. Is it his left? There you go, left arm.
Potentially broken that.
Yeah, on the forearm. Yeah, you know straight away when the impact. Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah, and they go down straight away. There's no rolling about in agony as though you're being shot by an elephant gun. You know when it's about injury, you stay down. And that is a shame because he's had a tremendous start to this season. Well, they're doing it tough on the Saints. Remember, at Wakefield, they run out of substitutes. There's no one there to bring on. And still they came up with the points. Let's hope that it's just bruising.
Yeah, the look on his face and the concern on the physio's face, I don't think so, but we'll await the confirmation.
Super League players don't come off for bruising, Steve-O. It's a tough old game. And like you say, he's had a great season so far.
He has. Mentioned earlier, he's a superstar in the making, according to his coach, Kieran Cunningham. That's why you maybe saw the concern on his face. Penalty to Warrington. Here's Darryl Clark. There is.
Still plenty of time, and with Clark there, and also Mickey Hyam out on the field of play, they're capable of turning it around.
That's Bridge, who just leaves it then for Chris Hill to take forward.
The score here will make things nervous.
Mickey Hyam goes left and finds Bridge. Bridge then fires the pass to Gareth O'Brien, and he was caught high by Italian.
Yeah, he's got to have a bit of a word because there's been quite a few of the high shots coming around at the moment. Yeah, no doubt about it. He's not impressed.
Wait there. Get on side. Go, mate.
Referee telling them all to get back on side, so Ashton Sims will have a drive at the line. And Hyam gets it wide to Atkins. Atkins tries to run straight through Travis Burns. Burns held on to him. Roby finished him off.
That's got to be a penalty, and it is. And quite frankly, that's another professional foul, and it's the same guy that did it in the first half. He deserves 10 minutes in the sin bin.
But this is actually now going to work in the favour here, really. He's actually stopped the clock to give the Saints defenders a rest on the line here.
Last couple of minutes, last few sets.
Well, this is where we just need the signal, get it going again. You know, it looks like Saints are very happy to give a penalty away early in the tackle count, which is just slowing the game down. Warrington have momentum, they want to keep going. We should be allowing them.
Is it the best way to get the message across? It's to go pull out the car.
So are they on a warning now, the Saints? This is Bridge, short ball to Laithwaite. Didn't see is the signal still there? This the signal, point and the twirl of the arm?
Yeah, the signal's still there, so I think it was a gentle word with the captain, that one.
Okay, so here is Hill, who plays the ball to Hyam, and Gareth O'Brien.
Great example.
Down he goes.
Sorry, Eddie. Great example from St Helens. We spoke about man-on-man defence. Look how they're doing that.
Bridge. Ratchford. Short ball, Laithwaite. Jordan Turner waiting to spring the trap, and the trap was sprung. 4 tackles gone. Ratchford. Back it comes to Clark. Clark then to Curry. Curry goes wide. The flying penny. Did he get the ball down?
Oh, he's got to go upstairs for this. Remember, it's not the flag now.
No try.
They're going a no-try decision.
You can touch the flag, and it doesn't count.
Well, I'll tell you what, Kevin Penny believes he's got this ball down. You watch the way he celebrates. He's either convinced he's got it down or he's a good liar.
Well, he's jumped from the field of play. He's still got possession of the ball. Touches the flag.
Oh!
Has he got it down? No. I think he's lost that ball there. Well, he certainly hasn't been grounded in the in-goal area. He's still got his hand on the ball there.
It hits the foot, I think.
Doesn't touch the ground, that's the main thing. Doesn't touch the ground. The flag's irrelevant. It still hasn't gone out of play. And still on the ball.
It was a great effort, wasn't it?
You can't get closer to scoring than that, can you? He's 2 inches off putting the ball on the line. That's a try. It is a game of inches, Eddie, and there's your classic example.
Unbelievable, that.
We still haven't seen what happened to the ball, so we need to
just to see how you restart the match.
Restart the game.
Well, in this corner, so many times we've seen Tommy Makinson score tries while airborne.
Has it come off the knee of the St Helens player?
Well, Kevin Penny's still in possession of that ball, unbelievably.
Yeah.
And he takes it out.
Still going.
Does
yeah,
he?
but is it the knee? It's still not in touch yet. It's still in play.
It's Paul Welland's knee taking that out. This is going to be
out now.
interesting.
Yes, it's touched Paul Welland while he was out.
Well, we know it's no try, and it's now up to the referee.
Well, it should be a 20-metre restart.
Because he's in touch on his
Great
right side.
effort, though. This is amazing, isn't it?
Scrum down.
He's got half a metre to work in.
Down on the flag, and then he's lost the ball, and then he's gone into touch. He's in touch, yeah.
Well, he's deemed, Stuart, that the ball was in touch, so it's a scrum down. It came off the post and went the other side of the goal line, I think is what he's saying.
Okay. That'll be a scrum then.
Well, he went scrum down 20 metres and then he brought it back, so
Scrum's on the 20 metres.
we got there in the end. He pointed to the centre of the field, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Saints are going to get the ball back here.
But it's a huge warning, isn't it, to St Helens that this game is far from over. Now, can they show that same composure, which for the majority of this game they have done? The control has been good.
Injury news, Bill.
Yeah, it's sad news, bad news for the Warrington Wolves, because Ben Evans has sustained a very nasty hamstring injury during that tackle, unfortunately. Really is in a lot of discomfort, and I understand he's due to go to hospital straight from the ground, and in a lot of discomfort in that Warrington dressing room. So that's a sad outcome for him, and by the look of things, sad outcome for Joe Greenwood as well. We've been really raving about him this season. Another big performance from him tonight.
Yes, it was purely accidental, and it was sort of self-inflicted because he went to put a big hit on and he caught the opposition's arm. Did Joe Greenwood.
Nothing untoward about it. It wasn't as though he was going high or anything.
Well, here's a high shot and the penalty goes Warrington's way.
Yeah, he just lost composure there, Luke Thompson. Here he comes in, grabs. Oh, I'm not so sure. I think he grabs his shoulder. Well, Stefan Radford, he's got wonderful agility, and it takes a special kind of defender to make those challenges, and we've already said about how competent he is returning that ball. I can only imagine the footwork has just foxed the young forward.
We've got 17 minutes remaining here of the first of two massive matches on Sky Sports. 7:30 Sky Sports 3, don't be late for this. Leeds and Wigan tomorrow.
Okay, play on.
Four sides were featuring. Oh, knock on by Mickey Hyman. Telier is away. And he's ploughing at the ground with those legs of his. Should he get rid of the ball? Well, no, he shouldn't. He's still going. Tremendous running. He's almost exhausted, could hardly play it. Wide they go to Makinson. And Telier has made a try for Tommy Makinson. His marauding run downfield just spread the Warrington defence like scattered aces. And from the play the ball, it was shifted out wide quickly to Tommy Makinson on his 100th Super League appearance. Tommy Makinson, he comes up with his fourth try of the year and does this finally put Warrington to bed.
Too many errors. You can see there the inside pass. Westwood couldn't get to it. Ateyave, I've never known a crowd all shouting, pass the ball! But he did the right thing. Look, quick blindside. This is where the experience of James Roby comes into it. Not the best attempt by Ryan Atkins, but take nothing away from Makinson. That was a wonderful pen. But that wonderful decision, soon as Ateyave made the break, and the experienced James Roby dumped in, he knew it was short on the blind side. Makinson hands off. Fantastic.
And that's his first try in 2 matches. He's the 400th player, is Tommy Makinson, to achieve the 100 Super League appearance milestone. And his first try in a couple of matches, but try number 4 of the campaign. Now then, this is a tester for Travis Burns. Only missed with 1 tonight. Only missed with 1 all season. Oh, how about this? How about this from Travis Burns? Punches the air with delight. and the Saints fans are delighted too. 30-12.
What's quite amazing, I'm sure that Mark Percival was the first choice kicker at the start of the season. Here's the mistake, and their ability to counter-attack, like all great teams in football or rugby. They've gone from their own end in defending to the other end in scoring, and they've made it look relatively easy. They are a classy side. I think we're looking at the most improved player this season so far in Alex Walmsley, and by far the most improved team from last year, St Helens. Boy, they look good.
Well, they do in this victory, as it is at the moment, with less than a quarter of an hour to go. And Warrington got it in them to score 4 times.
Very difficult to see that coming, Eddie, the way that St Helens now are charging forward. Good refereeing. Oh, he's got him for interfering.
Well, Warrington are celebrating because they thought they got a knock-on decision from Ben Thaler, but there was a foot in there in the play the ball by Mickey Hyam, isn't it? There it is, little flick of the toe.
This is another example, and you saw Mossimer saw it. He's trying to play that ball. He's gone through collision, through contact, and in his haste to play the ball, there's an interference there from Mickey Hyam. It's just too big, and Ateleve, it's a wonderful break. He made the same break, the Tongan forward, last week against Widnes, and did the same thing, kept hold of the ball, took the play the ball, banked the yards that he'd made, the meters down the field that he'd made. But for me, Eddie, I think he's been the buy of the season. He's been a wonderful addition to what is already a monster pack.
Well, it's away day sickness in Super League. As I said earlier on, only 8 times this year the away side has won in 30, now 31 after tonight. And Warrington, it's the second away game in a row they've conceded 30 points. They did exactly the same in Perpignan against the Catalan Dragons a couple of weeks ago.
I mentioned before kick-off, Eddie, I said that this would be the acid test for Warrington to show to everybody. There's a
drop goal from Wilkin.
Missed.
No, he's missed it.
He was put under pressure, but it was the right option, and he knows it.
Oh, it's a slice.
You talk about a captain's knock. He has been superb tonight, as John Wilkin. How many times has he had to play out of this position, try to take on the half-back role? He hasn't got the speed of many years ago, but boy, he knows everybody, and he knows how to bring, and how he leads by example. And it's been a great effort from him tonight.
Oh, he hurts himself, Kevin Penny, then. It was a monster tackle from the side.
Yeah. He did well, Penny, to get up.
And we talk about the courage of the players in the game. He's clearly in pain, and his first instinct is to get up and play the ball. And I agree, I think John Wilkin's been fantastic, and maybe or maybe not get the man of the match award tonight, but he's played off the back of a very impressive pack. The forwards have done the job. They've dominated the Warrington forwards, and they just haven't been able to get that quick play of the ball, gain ground. Players like Chris Hill, who we normally associate with setting the foundation for their team, haven't done the job tonight.
Another error, and that will be the power play, the free play, should I say, but now he said, come on,
bring it back.
May as well just play the ball. Nothing's gone right for Daniel Clark tonight.
Right, let's go down to Bill. I think we've got news of Joe Greenwood coming in.
Yeah, it'll take a bit of the shine off this Saints performance, because he has been outstanding this season, but he's sitting there looking very disconsolate, Joe Greenwood. It is quite apparently, with all that ice and padding on there. It's an elbow injury. The extent of it's unclear at the moment. Saints medical team being a bit cautious in that. Certainly he's not coming back, but whether it's long term, well, they won't be drawn on that.
Well, it's painful, that's for sure. He left the field and he was in real discomfort.
The second half, St Helens have been getting over the advantage line, playing the ball a lot quicker. I'm afraid Warrington look at their defence, some are coming short. That's play on.
Yes, it was a charge down. Chris Bridge has it. Oh! Kevin Penny held on. I thought he was going to drop it. Instead of that, he goes in for a 4-pointer, Kevin Penny.
It was touch and go for a while. Fingertip control, he'll give this.
Yeah, he just checked with the touch judges. It was definitely a charge down, and he was onside. They say yes on both accounts. And Kevin Penny, after a bit of juggling that would have done the circus good, he eventually held on. There's the charge down. There's
Well,
the
Mickey
pick-up.
Hyam.
Now watch this. Bob, oh hey!
There you go. Second time, I'm away. Well, he hasn't had many opportunities. That's how strong this St Helens defence has been tonight. But when they come your way, when you've got the speed, good work from Mickey Hyam. Charge down. The kick from John Wilkin. Oh! He got it.
I think it was too quick and too early for Kevin Penny. And Chris Bridge, who's a very intelligent rugby league player, just thinks I'll give it to the quicker man, but it almost took Kevin Penny by surprise.
Well, this is Gareth O'Brien to add the extras, which he does. And so 30 points to 18. It's back to 2 converted tries. And just have a look at this again. 1, 2, 3, 4.
He nearly paid the price for taking his eye off the ball at the vital moment. But he took the opportunity.
Well, we've got a game on, haven't we? How many years ago was it, Eddie, when the Saints went to Warrington and scored 3 tries actually in the last 10 minutes? 5 or 10 ago, I know that. Warrington have thrown down the challenge here.
10 years ago this month.
10 years ago. I knew it was a while. And Kieran Cunningham was the man who scored the winning try in the very last minute. Now, it'll take something special for Warrington to win this, because we've just seen how well for 70 minutes St Helens have defended. But the Wolves have got it in them. They have got some spectacular tries. They need to find 2 very quickly.
Yes, he was the saviour that night. They were 16-4 down with 9 minutes to go. And, well, we've got 9 minutes to go now, and they are 30 points to 12 down, but it's Warrington. 30 points to 18. It's a 12-point ball game, and it's Warrington who are coming from behind. Can they do a Saints on Saints then?
Well, they've got to test their arm. You know, it's no point in just driving it forward and getting in a good position. They've got to try a little dribble through, something different.
Well, you saw Chris Bridge. He was furious with his teammates then. Weren't up in the positions that he wanted them to, and it was too easy for the St Helens defenders to cope with it. Here's something a little different.
It was just a dab through by Bridge. But well, he's read the script over 400 times.
Yeah, the most experienced guy out there. And he said, little chip over, it's mine.
400 and, what did I say in the first half? 38th appearance in Super League.
Amazing, isn't it?
No one has played more.
An amazing record. He's been a great player, still is. Even years ago, Eddie, he never had that burst of speed, did he? But somehow he could evade tackles as though he was a magician.
And he didn't need to be quick, because he's always in the right place at the right time, and that intuition serves him well. In his later years at 35, he's still relevant and still having an impact on this game.
And if you see the wide shot, you can see that Paul Wellens, realising that they tried the little chip over the top. Wellens has not gone deep. He's anticipating something pretty similar to what Warrington showed. But again, solid defence.
It was George King who played the ball to Darryl Clark, and he shaped a pass twice and then passed it wide to Philbin. Philbin kept it going wide to Matty Russell. He got through Burns. He couldn't get through those two. We'll play it to Clark again. Here goes Atkins.
They'll opt for the bomb, surely. Get as high as possible. No, they're going to the power play.
With Ratchford. And then Curry down the line, and it's that man, Wellens again, who knew it was coming.
Yeah, he's got an amazing radar, hasn't he?
Let's go down to Bill.
Eddie, Kieran Cunningham was saying on Boots and All on Wednesday night that his daughter Shanna's favourite player at the moment is Till Veyer. He speculated it might have had something to do with his long flowing locks, which he has when he's not in playing mode. But she's a pretty good judge of a player, apparently, according to Kieran, is his daughter. And I think Till Veyer, Till as he's known to his teammates and to folks back home, has won plenty new admirers this season, especially with his performance tonight.
Discipline, boys, discipline.
Till Veyer, okay? Is that what he wants to call us, or what he wants us to call him, Bill? We'll get the answer maybe later on. Here is Nicky Hyan, charged down by Warrington. They've got the ball back.
Well, the last charge down led to a try directly. Here's one now that gives them the field position they've been desperate for to get close here now. But again, that's almost an underlap, isn't it? There's more defenders than attackers until Ratchford.
They're very deep, aren't they, Phil? Playing very far away from the line. There's a penalty. Luke Thompson.
Got a penalty there. Nervous times here. They're taking the quick tap.
It's with Darrell Clark. And he's within 5 now then.
Now they've got to utilise the dummy runners. It's been very rare for Warrington tonight.
Well, 5 to go and a score here, and you never know, and Curry will go down on the second tackle. It's Kevin Penny. King. Still going, George King. Not far short of the line either. And Clark is scheming. Oh, offside, John Wilkin. He came round the corner, was from an offside position anyway.
Well, there was 4 to 5. None of them had got over the line.
So here they go again, another set of 6 with O'Brien, and Atkins steps through 1, tries to step through 2 or 3 more.
Bit
Vane
short
was underneath him.
Sorry, Eddie, a bit short on that left-hand side.
Coming down the middle here with Chris Hill.
Great defence. 4 St Helens players denying.
Darrell Clark.
Turner sticks to him like a limpet mine.
4 minutes to go. They have to score, you get the impression here, Warrington, in this set, to have any chance of at least a point. Ashton Sims' ball goes to ground. Picked up, though, quickly.
Tremendous defence. They're totally organised, know what they've got to do, and all trust one another.
O'Brien plays it to Hyan. Well done, James Roby. Last one here for Warrington, this set of 6. Chris Hill! Chris Hill's over! And he's setting up a grandstand finish for us here. Warrington are racing back to get ready for the kick-off. And we're going to have a quick conversion here from Gareth O'Brien. You can rest assured of that. Saints will be in no rush. O'Brien is. He has the extra 6-point ball game. Anything now is possible for Tony Smith's men.
Well, I can't believe it. Not because they've struck back, but to allow a prop forward to throw a dummy like that, spin around, it's a sin.
It's the 3rd try they've scored where the man behind the play the ball has picked it up from close range and crashed over. He passed it, kicked it, offloaded it, and ultimately their only way over so far is picking up and diving over from close range.
And it's the 2nd time, Phil, they've been guilty of trying to fix something that hasn't happened yet. Defend the threat, the ball is the threat, and a couple of defenders from St Helens were guilty of jumping out because they didn't think that Chris Hill had it in him, and he did.
Well, here we go with just less than 3 minutes remaining. Deep kickoff from Travis Burns. Penny's pass into the centre to Ratchford, and Warrington are going to throw caution to the wind here. Here goes Philbin. He's brought to ground by Matty Dawson.
That's got to be another penalty. It's got to be. Hang on, come on, the ball hit the man. He never tried to move away.
The referee said play on, and that's what they're doing. There's 2 tackles gone for Warrington, still inside their own half. It was Russell to Clark. Here goes Ashton Sims. Well, suddenly they've been recharged.
If that's not a penalty, what is?
Clark, short ball. O'Brien. 4 tackles gone, still just inside their own half. That's the halfway line on which O'Brien plays the ball. Here is Bridge. Bridge then, he tried to get the short ball away. Wilkin has picked it up for Saints.
Saints won't squander this. They'll be injured.
Penny was all over the top of Wilkin, pushed his face into the ground. Wilkin's laughing all the way to the bank, and Kevin Penny is frustrated.
Yeah. Why on earth do you want to do that? You've done the tackle. John Wilkin says thanks for the penalty. Wasn't the best offload, was it? To be fair. And Chris Bridge and his coach Tony Smith realised that it is all over. Fair credit to the Wolves. They never threw the towel in. Who thought they would come back? Especially the way that St Helens were controlling the game.
But you just watch these vital seconds tick away as one forward and then another will just trundle it towards the Warrington line. He knows, Kieran Cunningham knows that he's got another 2 vital Super League points.
Well, providing nothing strange happens in the next minute, you're right. Here goes Walmsley. Ooh, he's offloading!
What do you want to do that for?
It's a penalty to St Helens because there was a man, I think it was Philbin, was pulling back the St Helens man without the ball. They'll go for 2 and this will wrap it up.
Yeah.
See, there's the offload risky and then he pulls Roby back.
Yeah.
That's why the penalty's given.
Really? But why on earth does Walmsley want to pass that ball? Well, Walmsley's been doing that all night. He's got a good... Yeah, but not when it gives the opposition. No, you're right, but he's been doing it all night. He's got a good technique of getting over defenders and plonking that ball. I don't know whether Joe Philbin has the right to contest that with James Roby.
Well, he's got the right to contest the ball, but you can't pull another man who isn't in possession of the ball, and that's what the penalty is for.
Oh, the officials got it absolutely right, but Kieran Cunningham will have been up in that box and saying, what on earth is the prop forward doing? Is he pulling him back there, Stuart?
Well, he's just pulled it back, hasn't he? He stopped him going for the ball, so that it gives him the advantage. If he just goes straight to the ball and there's a collision, he probably gets away with it, but he's just pulled him out the way.
Well, Paul Wellens has heard that the full-time siren has sounded as Joe Philbin reflects on giving this penalty away. He's anxious that should Travis Burns hit the post with this and it bounces back, Warrington could easily pick it up again, but that's academic now because he's kicked the goal. Travis Burns finalises the scoreline of 32 points to 24 to the Saints, and they march on. Their chairman, Eamon McManus, will be well pleased with the fact that they are now 6 from 6 at the top of the table, and it's a 4-point advantage at the top for them, so they won't be shifted this weekend no matter what happens elsewhere. Tremendous game, great entertainment, notably the first half. And Louis McCarthy, Scarsbrook, he's one of the try scorers as well. Good game. Let's go downstairs and join John and Brian for their thoughts on that second half. It was frightening in the end.
Well, it was close, yeah, closer than Saints would have wanted. You asked at half-time, Eddie, could the Warrington Wolves get back into this game? With a Mickey Hyam try, they looked at the start of the second half, John, that they would have a chance.
Yeah, much better start to the second half than they ended the first. Thought they started the first half reasonably well in response to some early Saints salvos. This is what we were talking about pre-game, about the decision-making from this man, Gareth O'Brien. And we said, you know, this is all in defeat, so it's all academic, but it's worth having a look at. We might want to revisit this a little further down the line this season. Again, frontline runner in Westwood, obvious option out the back is Ratchford, and yet it hits the brave ball, the right ball, out to Ryan Atkins. And but for an exceptional tackle, cover tackle, from Paul Wellens. But and he's so shallow to the defensive line as well.
He gets beaten off that tackle, but that is not a missed tackle. He saved a try there in that occasion.
Yeah, that's a definite try save. But just food for thought there with Gareth O'Brien moving forward. Turns it back inside and then sets up for Mickey Hyam. Now, you've got to have a look at what's going on the top side of the screen here. So a couple of lines in here by different players that's really confusing Travis Burns, who gets off his line but makes a complete misread and opens a gap for Mickey Hyam to come in. And all of a sudden, Warrington looked like they're back in the game. The advantage is cut.
That on 48 minutes at 18-12 to the Warrington Wolves. Louis McCarthy, Scarsbrook try, made it 24-12 to St Helens, and then a try for Tommy Makinson after an Atalia Vey break, a good break as well.
Effectively the try that broke the match, I think. It was 2 replies, so Louis McCarthy, Scarsbrook, as you said, restored that 12-point advantage. Then Tommy Makinson extended it and put the game to bed. Just a little bit of housekeeping here from a Warrington defence. If you're in crisis mode, you're defending for your life, you're scrambling back in defence. You've got Matty Russell there, who's come in and made a great chase back and been involved in the tackle. The only reason I can think he does this is because he's got Stefan Ratchford, who's the fullback, also involved in there. Just have a look at what Matty Russell does. So he goes off, heads up back up to his wing, then dives back into the ruck. Now, the try is eventually scored by Tommy Makinson right in that corner. That's where Russell would have been. You've got to ask yourself, given another shot at that, would he have made the same decision? Because I'm not sure 2 markers is the prerogative, is it, when you've been broken and busted down the middle?
No, maybe would have been able to solve it had he not got back. Okay, Warrington Wolves, they got a last try at the end of the game, John, to make it close, but I guess it summed up the Warrington Wolves display, which was sloppy really through, as a whole, very sloppy. Chris Hill, the front rower, is in a dummy half on the last play at the end of a sloppy set. Yeah,
make no mistake about it. Like, Saints were the better side throughout the evening, and I think Warrington didn't do themselves justice. This is we've only put this in because it's the rugby league equivalent of an and finally section, dog on a skateboard, an oddity, something for the highlight reel for Chris Hill in years to come. Sends 3 players, Burns, Roby and Wellens the wrong way to cut the deficit to 6 points. I think they ended up with 8 points with a penalty, but for me, Warrington never at the races. Not good enough tonight.
No, and you made a good point off air as well. 56 points in that game is surprising enough. Well, one of the stars for St Helens tonight was John Wilkin. He's downstairs now with Bill.
John, that turned into a heck of a scrap and quite an anxious ending, I'd have thought.
Yeah, I'm not sure it turned into one. I think it was one all the way through. I think the start of the game, obviously we had quite a lot of possession and scored some points. I think we were pleased with how we played in the first half, disappointed with maybe our discipline. I know the penalty count was heavily against us, and some of those penalties, rightly so, and others we'll have a look at, but we're pleased with that result. We haven't beaten Warrington here, so it's a big result for us. We've got a lot of respect for Warrington as a team. I think a fantastic club, and we really enjoy the games against them. The fans obviously love it as well. So yeah, good night for us tonight.
And still unbeaten, top of the table. Great start to the season.
Yeah, great start to the season. The World Club Series was a blip, obviously quite a major one. We haven't been playing that well, but we played really well in patches tonight. And huge thanks to the fans, both sets, who turned up today, and all the sponsors, who make this competition so fantastic.
I'm just going to ask you finally, how do you feel about what I've got a brand new combine harvester for your try-scoring music?
Oh, it goes back to Big Phil Wilkin and me and him driving tractors, that sort of agricultural. Cheers.
Well done, John. Well, let's hear from Mickey Hyam from the Wolves camp. Mickey, a try that got the fires burning for the Wolves, because maybe you hadn't done yourselves justice tonight.
No, we were really pleased with last week's efforts. We set the tone, our intensity, and we knew we had to, beat our best again tonight. And you give the champion team an 18-point start, it's gonna be hard to pull it back. And we were still confident we could do that, but we showed intensity in patches. But against these men, you've got to intensity for 80 minutes, and it weren't there tonight. Too many errors, still a bit panicky in good ball, trying to score maybe every play instead of repeat sets, and it worked quite hard there. Bounce of the ball went for them. They scored some breakaway tries and probably deflated us a little bit, but I thought effort was there. We kept plugging away, made it a little bit squeaky bum time from the last 10 minutes, but not to be tonight.
Thanks, Mickey.
Thanks, Bill. Cheers.
Yes, honest assessment by Mickey Hyam. Well, St Helens have beaten Warrington at home for the first time for 5 years. What's more, they have beaten Warrington at Langtree Park for the first time ever. And we look back on the win when we come back. Well, the dream continues for Kieran Cunningham, the St Helens coach. 32-24, first ever win at Langtree Park against Warrington for the Saints. 6 from 6, top of the table. Here's Kieran with Bill.
Kieran, that was a good old-fashioned Saints-Warrington game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was quite unpredictable at times, and both good attacking sides. And I think there'll be a few upset babies in the stands tonight, because we took that many dummies. I don't think there's any left in the stadium. But it was a great game. I'm not sure how the heart's going. I think Tony or Rich will probably feel the same, and Warrington can attack, we know that. I thought we had control of the game in numerous occasions, and we probably just didn't capitalise on it. I think our game management just let us down at times when we was ready to close the game down.
Bit anxious at the end?
Oh yeah, we was tweaking up in that corner up there, because we know they can score tries, and we've done it on many occasions to Warrington, and they're a great side. You seen what they did to Leeds last week, and they come today to play, and I thought we did a great job, early on, and we withstood a lot of pressure, and we scrambled really good. The resilience in the side is second to none. Some of them we didn't have rights to stop some of them tries, and we stopped the tries, and we went up the other end and scored. And for me, that's a sign of a great side. And just your little fundamental things which you probably took for granted. You know, when the game looks like it's running away from Warrington and we're in control, and you know, you bring them back into the game and they're very dangerous.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think he's enjoying life as Super League head coach of this club, and why wouldn't he be? Because let's just take a look at the first Utility Super League table tonight. First game of round 6 done and dusted. It's now a 4-point gap between Saints, Leeds, Warrington and the rest. And of course it's Leeds against Wigan live here on Sky Sports 3 tomorrow night. Well, for every winner there's a loser. Here's the Warrington coach, Tony Smith.
Tony, Mickey Hyams just said if you give Saints an 18-0 start, you're going to have some work to do.
Yes, Bill. Yes to everything tonight. Whatever you say to me, yes. I agree with you. We're way off what we needed to be tonight. And, you know, Saints deserve their win. They deserve their win. The way they defended their own try line, they were very, very good. You know, and they deserved to have more of a lead. What I like about my team, they didn't give up and they gave it a shot. You know, they gave it a shot. We weren't potent enough on their try line to say, but that's to say Saints did a great job on us. But, you know, they're much, much better at controlling the ruck than we were. And, you know, we'll learn a few lessons from tonight.
Especially after the way you stepped it up last week, you'd have wanted to repeat that sort of level of intensity.
Yeah, but each week's different, mate. It's different team and different sort of build-ups for it and different circumstances, different ground, different referee, different interpretations, different everything. You know, it's just the way it goes. And you've got to adjust to all those sort of things. It's easy to say it, and if you say it really quick, play as good as you did last week, that'd be easy, you know, but it's not. And we were a bit off. And some of the areas that were a bit off last week, you know, still with a little bit with our kicking game. It was a bit better today, but some of the potency in our attack isn't quite there yet, and we need to get a bit more about us. And you know, we'll have a couple more troops coming back next week as well, but you know, Saints deserve their win, and you know, we'll have some good stoushes with them again before the year's out, I can assure you.
Nice.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah, no doubt about that. This is the first of 3 meetings between Saints and Warrington tonight. His team were brilliant last week. They were good in patches tonight. They nearly got Saints at the end. In many ways, Phil Clark, that is the way you view the Super League. You say you cannot play to your optimum 27 weeks of the season non-stop. But St Helens are proving you wrong. They're 6 from 6.
Well, but if you listen to the quotes from their own players, they said they're not playing well. They're
but they're
not
still
playing
winning.
well, but winning, yes, yeah. And that's a great habit. Last season, they started in a similar manner. They won, was it the first 7 or 8 games in Super League before we got to Easter? But they were playing well and winning. Here, they've got a knack. It's almost as if they've forgotten how to lose. They've just got onto a roll now, haven't they? Now that's 9 games in a row that they've won, going back into last season and the season. When things aren't going well for them, they seem to do enough. But I have to pick up on what Kieran Cunningham said. It seems that whenever Warrington brought the line, they stopped some tries, which in 90 out of 100 Super League occasions, those breaks become tries from all the football I watch. And yet they somehow find a way to stop enough tries. And there's a narrow margin at the end of the game. But that margin was sufficient for St Helens to win it. And they do look to me like the most improved side. I'm repeating what I said during the commentary. The improvement from the end of last season to this season is better, faster, more visible than any other side in Super League. And I think suppose you've got to give the credit to the players and to the coaching staff for the improvements they've made in such a short period of time.
The victory for St Helens will have come at a cost because they lost Joe Greenwood, nasty injury to the elbow. The defeat for Warrington comes at a cost. Because Ben Evans, that looks a nasty injury, doesn't it?
It did, yeah. And those are the ups and downs, aren't they, of the Super League season. In the space of a few minutes or perhaps a match, your whole season, the outlook of your season can turn around depending on the injury to the player and the significance of that player. I hope both of them make it back pretty quickly, and you know, with a bit of luck, maybe they will do, because Joe Greenwood and Ben Evans have got big futures for both of those clubs this season. I'd like to see them back out on the field.
It's not bad if you can see an improvement in the champions at the start of this new season.
Well, I do think
they are capable of.
They were a little bit lucky, in my opinion, to win the grand final last year. They did remarkably well. They lost on this ground in September to Warrington by the Wolves scored almost 40 points, and I thought then that was the end of the season, but they bounced on. They have that word resilience that Kieran Cunningham touched on, and it's helping them to go a long way.
Yes, it has. They're top of the table. They are clear by 4 points. All the rest, of course, have still to play this weekend. Super League Gold, the 2010 Grand Final. Some golden moments from Old Trafford next here on Sky Sports 3. And our next live match is also here on Sky Sports 3. And that is a repeat of the inaugural Grand Final from 1998. Leeds against Wigan, 7:30 tomorrow night, right here on Sky Sports 3. 4 of the great clubs in Super League we're watching this weekend. Don't miss tomorrow. This was good. That will be equally so. From us all, goodbye.
Plowing up the ground with those legs of his. Wide they go to Megan.